This podcast is protected under the laws of the United States and other countries. Unauthorized duplication, distribution, or exhibition may result in civil liability, criminal prosecution, and the wrath of the tall man.
Boy! Hey, let's talk about you, the ID10T community events at ID10T.com, like Russ Stevens, a.k.a. Cool Movies Darth, who has started a podcast called 90 for Chill, which Russ says is dedicated to movies with a runtime between 74 and 99 minutes, the time frame that I feel is ideal. Russ, I could not agree with you more. That is a fantastic idea. Russ goes on to say there are times you need a cinematic fix but don't have time for the latest Scorsese masterpiece or offering from a comic book universe. There's also times when you need a conclusion to prevent a binge costing you a whole night. My guests and I try to follow these guidelines as we chat up features that are definitely worth your time and are beyond easy to make time for. 90 for Chill, the podcast, can be found on all major podcast platforms at 90forchill.com, and that's spelling out 90, N-I-N-E-T-Y, 4 F-O-R, chill. So there you go. Thank you so much for sharing, Russ. Really great idea for a podcast. Events at ID10T.com for everyone else.
Little Hand says it's time to rock and roll.
Bring the noise.
Welcome to 90 for Chill, the podcast with CatBusRuss. This is your host, CatBusRuss, and today we're going to have our second marathon episode. So the idea is, in order to recognize a movie that is over 2 hours long, we got to get there with a bunch of sub 100-minute movies. Our theme will be Possession, because that's what our main event is going to be about. And my guest this week is Jonathan Romeo. You can find his work at mindonfire.com, and he's currently working on another project called A Film Worth Fighting For. So we're going to talk about 6 movies, 3 apiece from each party. Then we'll get to our main event about the 1973 William Friedkin classic. So, heck, 50 years. Well timed. So thank you, Jonathan, for coming on the show. Let me drop the trailer for that feature, and we'll get on with the festivities.
Hey, where'd this come from?
I found it.
Well, let's both play.
You really don't want me to play?
Captain Howdy said no.
Who's Captain Howdy?
You're gonna die up there.
I need reassignment.
You're the best we've got.
I think I've lost my faith.
Is there someone inside you?
Sometimes.
Who is it?
I don't know.
Is it Captain Howdy?
You ever heard of exorcism?
How do you go about getting an exorcism?
I beg your pardon? I'm Damien Karras. I'd like to help you. Where's Reagan?
In here with us.
I believe we should begin. Avoid conversations with the demon. The demon is a liar. He will mix lies with the truth.
Why, Dimmy?
To attack us. Do not listen.
That thing isn't my daughter.
It is he who commands you. The power of Christ compels you.
It was an excellent day for an exorcism.
All right, this is 90 for Chill, the podcast with CatBusRuss. This is your host, CatBusRuss, and as I probably stated during the introduction, and I know I always play the trailer to the focus of the thing during the podcast, during the intro, so you'll know what we're going to talk about, but just play along as we build towards the main event. So this is going to be a podcast about... well, it's spooky month, of course, so it's going to be a podcast about horror, and in this case, the concept of possession. So we've got a pretty wide lineup of movies. This is going to be a marathon, and the contestant today against me is a man on fire. Do you want to drop the real name or just stick with your?
Yeah, no, that's okay. Yeah.
All right, so it's
Now my name's Jonathan.
Yep. Yeah. So again, the Fediverse.
Jonathan.
So I think we might be having some delay issues, maybe with the video. So let's not to say that you don't look pretty, but let's just try cutting that out then. All right.
Okay.
All right. So, yep, Jonathan Romeo. This is the second podcast that I've found somebody from the Fediverse. Definitely on Mastodon, my preferred social media now.
Yes.
All right. And we've been trying to get together to do a show. But I think we've found the ideal time for that episode. And yeah, so you were excited about you wanted to talk about a horror movie that definitely's got a strong influence, and I guess cat's out of the bag since last Friday the latest attempt to revive the franchise came out with the Exorcist Believers. It's a movie I haven't seen, and I'm not the religious type, so but it was so it'll get interesting. So this marathon will get interesting with the fact that I've got some films lined up that kind of state towards a scientific standpoint of it, and I believe you do as well.
Yeah.
All right. So, but let's start with the formalities of the marathon. Of course, we're going to this time come up with triple features, and then our main event movie. So essentially, a 6, an 8, a 10, and a midnight show. Midnight show is going to be The Exorcist, and then it's just 3 other movies we'll talk. So we'll end up talking about 6 movies beforehand, and I got to get that movie playing in my peripheral. Make sure I get that mute. Okay. Don't need to see the ad for whatever AMC is showing. It's really weird now with HBO Max. Or Max, as they call it now. So
what a horrible name.
Then so of course if you were listening to the podcast, the Sam Elliott podcast, the first marathon I had, my movie theater is the Six Raven Movie House, or the Murder Movie House, however you want to call it. And so last time I think was Sasquatch Cinemas from my buddy Andrew Teedy. And as I say, I've got a popcorn machine. He's got a grill. So, Jonathan, what would you like to name your cinema, and what do you want to add to your amenities?
Going old school on the name with the Palladium.
Nice.
Yeah, maybe. Can I tell you about the interior or just the amenities?
Oh, no, you can tell me about the interior.
Interior is like old school movie theater, like 20s, 30s, where the architecture was still grand. Mm-hmm. Modern seats, right. Recliners, right? Fully. Sorry.
Okay. Well, as I was trying to make clear with the amenities, so I know you got so much stuff, but we're building cinemas here right now. So
okay.
Yeah.
Well, the amenities would be fully stocked bar.
Okay.
All the great scotches and beers, you name it, it'll be there.
All right. So I don't mean to further cut you off, but as I say, we're building these things, so it's one amenity. So still bring your blankets to sit on, and you've got bathrooms, so should be able to make it. Gosh, let's see. This movie Exorcist wouldn't end till about 2:30 or so. So it's a good. I guess that would be let's see. Trying to think back to about 8.5 hours. So, and I guess at the So my new amenity, aside from my popcorn machine, I don't want to take your bar. So, I guess I'm just gonna have to stock all the candy at this point. So, there you go. You got your sugar rush to get you through this marathon. So. Oh, right. So, I guess it's your choice. Do you want to start with your marathon, or do you want me to throw out mine and play off of that?
Hey, it's your house. Why don't you start it?
Okay, so luckily I ended up watching everything pretty much during this week binge in a ends up being in the order I would do it in. So I'll start with John Carpenter's Prince of Darkness from 1987, starring let's see. Well, I got to get the star's name. I know Lisa Blount is one of them. You got Dennis Dune from Carpenter's Big Trouble in Little China alongside Victor Wong. So that would be Wang and Egg accordingly. So probably one of the weaker leads, I would say, for the Carpenter's movies. He's definitely I thought I had his name typed in my notes. I just, thought of the idea though that since it's a bunch of graduate students, I'm sorry, in the 80s, if you weren't throwing some off-speed stuff, you would not have a mustache at that age. So, oh geez, let me get my notes going. Well, get the IMDb going. Come on, my key. What I've been predictive text. Come on.
While you're looking for that is interesting. You watch all these like older horror movies, or even movies in general from like 80s and even the 70s. Like that's the oldest looking teenager I've ever seen.
Oh yeah. Oh, I watch a lot of Italian stuff, so
yeah.
I mean, if I'm getting into if everything is still what you said it was going to be, we'll have more to talk about that.
Sure.
So let's see. And yeah, our mustache belongs to Jameson Parker. 70s name. So I guess, 10 years earlier, that would have been perfect, I suppose. He's clean shaven there. Good looking guy on his IMDb. But mainly a television actor. Simon and Simon was his biggest thing. So, it's basically. Oh, and Donald Pleasance is in this movie, of course. So, from Carpenter's Halloween and Escape from New York, and this time I think his accent kind of works out all right. Like, I guess Loomis can be British. Rob Zombie carried that on with Malcolm McDowell in the remake. But he definitely can't be president of the United States. So Donald Pleasance has discovered a church, Catholic church in Los Angeles, which holds the secret of provided to us by extraterrestrial Jesus of the physical manifestation of Satan inside a little glass tube. And fearing that the power is getting stronger, he hires a bunch of essentially atheist college students grad students led by Victor Wong to analyze what's going on and possibly save the world. And in the meantime, as this is all going on, you have a homeless population led by Alice Cooper ready to welcome the manifestation of Satan back into the world. And with this green goo, eventually it's going to start possessing everybody. And it's up to our survivors to take it on. And unfortunately, Dennis Dune is not Wang from Big Trouble in Little China. He's actually kind of the chicken shit of the movie. So, but it's kind of, I kind of think it's basically, in a sense, Assault on Precinct 13, except we got a church.
That's good now. Yeah.
Yeah. So, And I don't know what it says that evil Satan is mobilizing the homeless, but
yeah.
So that's just further message. Don't abandon those folks. We hardly carry cash. If you got a little cash, maybe throw it their way. So this rewatch though, really, because I've seen it a couple times, this having to take notes on it kind of definitely got a better handle on it. I think, as I say, I didn't really pick up on the possible Scientology element of it, that Space Jesus is is responsible for this. And I actually, when it comes to the possession element, once we get one person infected, they basically have to spray the goo in your mouth orally. So it's kind of like evil is a venereal disease. So, and there's certain sequences when I would say that kind of suggests some 80s homophobia.
Yeah, and especially with the AIDS epidemic raging at the time, right?
Right, and of course, if you're a fan of They Live, you know this is a good jab at Reagan. So, yeah, and then let's see. Okay, covered all of the flaws with our 40-something grad students. I mean, I live in Champaign-Urbana. I've seen some old grad students, but yeah, again,
I live in a college town too, and I see some older students, but yeah, I guess. But the teenagers back then, it was like,
well,
they were old looking.
Oh well, go to Halloween.
Yeah, good example.
I mean, Jamie Lee Curtis, age appropriate essentially, but our woman who gets strangled by the phone was 30 at that point. I think if she wasn't 30 then, she was definitely 30 the next year for Rock and Roll High School.
Mm-hmm.
And
they weren't even like, you know how you get some starts today where they're 30, but yeah, they could pass for 20. They didn't even try that back then. It was like, have you ever?
Yeah, go ahead.
Go on. I'm sorry.
Oh no.
Well, I was going to say, have you ever seen movies like Graduation Day? They clearly.
I think I've watched the cinema snob video on that one.
Oh yeah. I mean, they clearly weren't graduating high school.
Oh no. Well, I think Graduation Day, or maybe I got it wrong, was actually like people going back to school for like a reunion. But never mind.
Yeah.
They didn't change the actors, so they looked like they're 30-somethings. Okay, so that might be appropriate for the current time, not their teenage looks.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, I could pull off. I still occasionally get carded, so I guess I can see it, but it's almost tempting at 43. It's like, well, if you can pull it off, maybe you shouldn't be showing off your grays and just do the crazy colors like everybody else.
Embrace the grays.
Yes. Oh no, I've thought about going total Anderson Cooper, so.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah. So the characters, as they say, it's kind of the science. It does ground religion in science, since we're, obviously, there's a very slim chance that we're the only beings in the universe, unless you take on concepts like, that's not necessarily true because of, be it religion or the fact that nobody's discovered us yet, or has announced us as a discovery. But I mean, eventually you get some time loop stuff. Like, I didn't really catch on to like the dream sequences, which is basically people in 99 telling people in 87, we're about to get shagged.
Yeah.
So other charming little elements is, again, Dennis Dunes being the chicken shit, and little elements like he's eating an apple at one point as he's mocking religion.
Yeah.
And this is the first time I was really heard of Schrodinger's cat. So, other notes I have is, why is the, let's tax the churches. Why is our priest in a limo? I mean, that was probably more of a John Carpenter decision. Like, we got the limo here. Why not? So I think I've covered a lot of that. Anything else you want to add?
No, just some of what some of what Carpenter does can be outlandish, like the priest showing up in a limo. But it could also be going back to what you were saying, jab at the Catholic Church. Now, I don't know his religious bearings one way or the other, but the Catholic churches have a lot of money.
Oh yeah. Oh no, that's the only. I mean, I really wish Godfather 3 would have worked out better, because I think it would have been. I can't remember the funny word for the business side of it that the Corleones were purchasing.
Yeah,
but just kind of feel bad about Godfather 3, because Talia Shire's Coppola's sister, works out fine with her. Why not? Why not think your daughter could fill in for Winona Ryder?
Yeah. Have you seen the Coppola's personal cut?
No, I haven't yet. It's one of those things, like, I got a 3-pack already. It's kind of like, bought it early. I mean, and I like Godfather 3 still. It's just, you can tell it wears its errors on its sleeves.
And there's some scenes that I do enjoy in it, but I think it's a good, especially we're talking, we're not talking about it, but we're looking at everything through the lens of this the new Exorcist movie. Godfather 3 is like when a franchise has run out of steam.
Well, Coppola didn't want to make the movie.
He didn't.
He
did not.
Yeah, he just didn't have any money. The wine wasn't selling fast enough at that point.
Yeah.
And
the studio,
Paramount. Yeah.
Yeah, they got heavily involved in it. So yeah, it wasn't his baby like the first two were, that he had to fight all the studio suits to get made. Everyone's heard the stories about they didn't want Pacino, they didn't want Khan, they didn't Brando, just all those stories. This was definitely one where the studio says, we want to make this happen.
Yeah.
And if you want, yeah.
So yeah, it's at least, like, we're not going, like, I've not seen any of the Exorcist sequels yet. Been meaning to get to 3, obviously, which isn't really a sequel. I mean, it follows the cop,
right?
And Brad Dourif. I mean, there's so many things about it. Never mind, everybody loves the jump scare, the scissors.
And everyone. I mean, Dourif is a great actor.
Yeah.
Going all the way back to Wise Blood.
Well, I mean, I can go all the way. I mean, at least I go all the way back to One Flew Over.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
I mean, he was Oscar nominated for that one.
Yeah.
So all right. So I guess it's time to go with your first feature.
All right. I think I put these in the order that I watched them, but the order that they're going to be shown, I'm going to start with, I'm getting my notes. Right in front of me. Demons.
Yes. All right. I did catch that one during my binge.
Did you see? You did see it?
Yes.
Awesome. I thought I wrote down the year, early 80s.
I think late 80s, mid-ish 80s.
85.
85, okay. Demons 2 must have been 87 or so.
And it's been a while since I've seen Demons 2, and I've never seen Demons 3, but Demons is where it all starts. And you're going into an 80s movie when they showed the soundtrack artists like Saxon and
Motley Crue, except Billy Idol.
White. I thought I read Whitesnake.
I thought I may have seen it too. Like, it's kind of like one of my favorite schlocky 80s movies. This one's not necessarily that, but when my one of my favorite schlocky 80s movies, The Wraith, finally came out on DVD.
Yeah.
And they listed the soundtrack ahead of Charlie Sheen. Like,
well, yeah. I wouldn't call it Demon schlocky, but it's definitely down the street from it.
It's directed well enough, and
it is.
You definitely see Lamberto Bava really paying homage to Argento, who produced and is a credited screenwriter, I believe, on this one.
Yeah, I believe he is, and like we were talking about before, Lamberto's father,
Mario,
is considered the father of Giallo, if I'm pronouncing that right.
Yep, you got it. I've really only seen a few of his movies, and he's done some weird stuff like Planet of the Vampires, but like Blood and Lace, brilliant.
Black Sabbath, Bay of Blood, I believe was him. So you definitely see all their influences in there. But the dialogue is...
Yeah, go ahead. Dialogue's was never Argento's.
Yeah, the dialogue. Okay, so and I really paid attention on this viewing. I've seen it a few times. But the one thing that he does really interesting is how he introduces the main characters all in the lobby of that theater.
Which,
I thought that was very well done, because later in the film, we're with the exception of two of them, we're all going to see him just die in the craziest, most bloody, violent ways. So at least we know. Yeah.
Okay, well, which I'm going back to is, like, as I say schlocky because this is kind of like, in a sense, this is like Argento wanting to write a Fulci movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Dario Argento, like, his movies still have like an air of sophistication. It doesn't really go anything like exploitive. I mean, when he does a kill, it looks marvelous and exceptionally gory, but he never crosses that line of, say, Lucio Fulci in the New York Ripper, where we get I guess the closest person today would be Takashi Miike.
Yes,
cutting nipples and stuff. But here he gets to show that, he gets to see that, and you kind of have and Bava's using like the lighting effects from Suspiria, essentially. Like, everything is pretty much one color saturated.
Yeah. And he does, like, there's the scene where, and forgive me, I don't know all the characters' names.
They're pretty disposable, all things.
Exactly. She's in one of the characters in some kind of room. It's not the projection room, but anyway, one of the demons rips her scalp off, and they just stay on it for, maybe today someone wouldn't stay on it as long, but they stay on that ripped scalp for, a little while. So he's definitely taking it to the next step as far as he could.
It's the weird punk rock girl, I think, who gets brought, like the weird punks who end up getting into the theater somehow, trying to run away from the cops, and, like, of course nobody can get out of the theater. So I mean, Demons is basically, I think, once one of the hookers puts on so that's how it starts. The famous mask that we all know. She puts it on. The guy, the blind guy, makes a comment like,
people don't respect anything anymore, something along those lines. She cuts herself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what starts everything, that parallels the movie that they're all watching, which is something else that I really liked, how the horror movie in a horror movie kind of spin. So what you see, and he does that with some cut scenes. What's happening in the theater, the real life quote unquote theater, is being done in the movie.
Yes,
that happens a couple times. That's always been interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the punks. Looking at it back this time, it was almost like. So you're going through this movie. There's no skin. If I can, I don't want to, skin.
Yeah.
And you hear these punk rockers show up, and they're doing cocaine out of a Coke can, and then just out of the blue, you start seeing the punk rock girl's skin.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of like an odd,
right?
But and it doesn't. So I'm not one of these people that are like, oh, no nudity in films. But that just seemed really odd choice to put that in there. But that's just,
I mean, that's the exploitive element, which you never really see Argento play into, but no, and neither did Bava. So it's kind of gives me that feel that Argento wanted to make his own little exploitive movie. I mean, exploitation movie.
Yeah, and it was the 80s. I mean, you start looking at some of the horror movies on this, this side of the pond, as it were. One of the famous scenes in Friday the 13th Part 2 is the one of the camp counselors. She's just wearing skin tight clothes, but as we go along, there's more and more flesh being shown. So the 80s plays in that too, but the mask is what, like, that's an interesting device too.
Well, especially when you have that Terminator guy at the beginning, which you think's going to be, the bait and switch. Yeah. You think he's going to be the killer. No, he's just handing out the tickets to this premiere.
Mm-hmm.
At a cinema that seems to have just popped out, like nobody knew of it as they're going into it.
It had a good turnout, didn't it?
Yeah.
And then during the one, I gotta laugh at it. One of the things when they're trying to break out of the theater and they all tear down the doors and it's all been
cemented. Yeah.
It's like, what crew did you have, Demon People, that completed all that? And like, you didn't even finish the movie, so an hour.
Yeah, it's that, which goes to this is probably the biggest flaw of the movie is like, and why is the zombie apocalypse happening outside of, or demons happening outside of the theater when you've gone and walled it off? Nobody can get out of it.
Yeah.
That wasn't really well thought out.
No, there could have been other ways, because and then the whole how they all get out of, or the two characters.
Yeah, the helicopter falling through the.
Yeah, it's like, there's Deus Ex Machina, and then there's this. And that was after he got on the motorcycle that had been sitting there all movie long with the katana blade.
Yes, which is and also that is 80s right there.
Oh yeah, the katana.
Yeah. And I don't know if I really bite on the ending where it's like, sorry, spoilers, but it's not the person you think who's going to turn out to be the infected that escaped. That is.
Yeah, well, I think spoilers have a certain shelf life. This thing came out in
19. You're right. It's almost it's just shy of 40 years old now. So
yes. So, folks, if you haven't seen it by now, you should.
Yeah,
because it still is fun how he's combined all these like 80s kind of popular cinema. You got the horror, and then the chaos breaks out, and then when they get out at the end, it's now, like you said, the demon apocalypse, which you've managed to capture all that in one movie. It's kind of great.
Yeah,
I mean, it's one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm. So that, yeah. So, anything else you want to add about Demons?
Nope. Just that if you haven't seen it, it's can I say where it's streaming? Can we do that?
It's on Shudder right now. I know that.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it's streaming for free on Prime as well.
Yes, I saw that.
And then Shudder. If I tried to find movies that everyone could like.
Oh yeah, no, it's like if The Exorcist wasn't a Warner Brothers movie, and I knew it was going to be on Max. Yeah, we might have had to do some navigation. Like I was trying to do some Hellraiser stuff, and it's like, well, all they have got is 1 and 2 on Shudder, and then everything else is we got the reboot on Hulu, but everything else is. Yeah. Thank you, Harvey Weinstein.
Right.
So with that though, I guess I didn't do the research because I own a digital copy of Evil Dead 2, like everybody should.
Amen.
A copy doesn't have to be digital. I'm all for physical media. The Wi-Fi doesn't always work.
It does. How many? Let me ask you this: between the Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2, well, Evil Dead 2, how many versions have you got? Because there's folks out there that
I've just got unrated versions of Evil Dead 2. I've seen both endings to Army of Darkness. So yeah, it's funny with Evil Dead 2. Like, if you're an Ash versus Evil Dead fan, like I am, when you watch it closely, it ignores Evil Dead 2, and I mean, it recognizes elements of Evil Dead 2, and of course Army of Darkness. That's because the De Laurentiis group owns Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness. Evil Dead is separate, and that's how. And I guess you would say that the remakes, not the remakes, the relaunch in 2013, which was pretty solid, and I think definitely probably plays closer to what Evil Dead was. It's an interesting choice. It's interesting choices what they made with Evil Dead 2, which is essentially a remake of Evil Dead, except it's just Ash and his girlfriend heading up to a mountainous cabin, which I thought I don't recall any mountains in Michigan, but furthest north I've gotten is Detroit. It takes place in Tennessee. The first movie was shot in Tennessee, so
yeah, and that's what I was going to say. It was filmed so I'm not I'm far enough away from there. It's not an afternoon drive. So it was filmed up north of Tennessee, because that's now I don't know if the Evil Dead 2 was filmed back there. It could have been
North Carolina was where they shot the second one.
Okay. So when they originally drove down here, it's because they could afford it, right? Because they got some money. And not to get off your train of thought. Now, if you go to that site where they filmed it here in Tennessee, you will not find anything of it. Fans have gone over the course of many years and just slowly dismantled it.
Yeah, that's what happens if you don't have at least John Morrison is John Morrison. Shoot. I'm sorry, I get my professional wrestlers thrown off with. Jim Morrison is buried in a prominent city where, at least you're going to have people occasionally clean up.
Yeah.
With Paris. Yeah. No, nobody's going to go out to the site of Evil Dead to clean it up.
You wouldn't think, but Yeah, there's nothing of it left.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe that's what. Well, maybe they filmed in North Carolina.
Well, that becomes a tax credit thing.
Yeah,
going back to the Hellraiser stuff, like Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth, which takes place in New York, and they've got decent enough establishing shots and matte paintings to kind of pull that off. But that was shot in Tennessee, and that's not Tennessee, North Carolina. One of their biggest problems was like when they did in Hellraiser 3, when Pinhead invades a church. It's like, ooh, I don't know if we're gonna get away with shooting that in North Carolina.
Yeah, you're in the Bible Belt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and of course now everything's shot in Georgia and Louisiana. So, again, it's all tax write-offs. I mean, it's easier to shoot now. I mean, New York is doing their best to get people to shoot there still. And I know after The Departed, which, takes place in Boston, but too expensive, so they shot in New York, and then now Massachusetts is an all right place to get
Canada too is becoming a
there's a going back to Carpenter, he did a couple of Masters of Horror episodes on Showtime. The second one about Ron Perlman trying to which is I think it's Pro-Life, I think is the name of the episode, where a demon's gone and impregnated the devil's gone and impregnated Ron Perlman's daughter, who's off to get an abortion. Of course, he is the pro-life guy, and after thinking he's heard the voice of God, goes on him and his sons go in guns a-blazing into the abortion clinic.
Yeah.
But the other one was Cigarette Burns with Norman Reedus, and about a cursed movie, and we find out that like the director moved up to Vancouver, and it's like, oh, he was ahead of the game.
He definitely was.
So yeah. I've known it since I'm a Highlander fan. Highlander the series. I know that was shot in Seacouver, I think, is the official town.
Seacouver, not Vancouver.
Not Vancouver, not Seattle.
Yeah.
But it's the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
Or Pacific Southwest, I guess, if you're talking from a Canuck standpoint.
Right.
So
that's good stuff.
Yeah. So Evil Dead 2, Ash and his girlfriend go to a cabin they think nobody's going to visit. It's obviously owned. They find a tape from a professor who's translating the Book of the Dead. And, again, I'm a science guy, but I kind of know, like, I'm also a Cubs fan, so I'm a superstitious guy. So I know there are sources, there are powers in this universe that balance things out. So don't just go and record translations, I suppose. Right. I mean, if anything, don't even read them out loud. Like,
don't press play.
Yes, I got my notes. Ash I will say Linda tells Ash to press play. And I don't know, I was having a conversation with somebody at work, I don't know how we got on it, like something was about Scarface, and it was like oh no, we were just mocking somebody who was a college kid whose last day, and he was picking on her, and it's like, playful stuff. And then I'm just telling him, oh, she thinks she could kick my ass. And it's like, well, you don't want to screw around with a woman. It's like, because sadly, all art tells us that women are an evil. If Tony Montana, basically, if Oliver Stone wrote it, it's a problem.
Right.
Of course, in Scarface, it's first you get the money, then you get the power, then you get the women. And it's like,
yeah,
those three things screwed you, Tony.
and his cousin or his brother does that tongue thing.
Oh yeah, right after
That's
that, Manny,
yeah,
his best friend.
Manny. Yeah.
And then going back to another Oliver Stone script, being Conan the Barbarian. Conan, what is best in life?
Yeah.
Crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and enjoy the limitations of the women.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Power and women. No. Something you shouldn't strive for.
No, not in the early 80s or mid, not in 80s cinema.
No. So this is where our possession comes into effect. Linda is immediately possessed by a demon, and I think Ash's a little quick to murder her.
Little quick.
Yeah. I mean, or at least, you have a shovel. It's got blunt sides. I mean,
yeah, he could.
I think we've all seen the shovel girl YouTube video or TikTok, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, but I guess if you go back to the original Evil Dead, which is really a story of Ash overcoming his fears, it makes sense. You're quick to react. You're not taking your time.
Mm-hmm.
Fight or flight, what have you. And eventually, so the house is eventually the forest is possessed, essentially, and the cabin being part of that. And Ash has to deal with his own possession, and then the people the daughter of the father who owns the cabin is there to finish the translations, and then it's a little late for that. Her mother is a demon in the basement. And let's just say, whenever somebody put a challenge out, what's your predictive text say when you put, I'll swallow your, and I'm happily to say, soul is what mine says.
I gotcha. Yeah.
So but there's some the effects are brilliant. I'd say that.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I am a big Labyrinth fan, but I will say Linda's dance beats the Fieries, the Chili Down number.
Yeah. Well, they had a little bit more money, and I think this was and if there's anything else, I'm not aware of it, but I think this was the first time that Greg Nicotero worked with them, and that guy's always had.
Yeah, I think you're correct there, and I mean this Evil Dead really kind of shows what Sam Raimi can bring to the table as a director.
Mm-hmm.
This is the finished product, and I'd say, when I was going through my letterbox, my username there is CM Darth. C as in cool, movie, M as in movies, Darth as in the Sith Lord. I'm an underemployed professional wrestler, hence why I like to use the CM stuff. So
it's good stuff. I've never talked to or met a professional wrestler.
Well,
that's good stuff.
Well, I mean, I have met CM Punk. Basically, sat being a guy guiding him through a show. He was watching the week he ran away from WWE storyline. I don't know. I mean, I don't know about where your Mark standpoint is, but yeah, I've got to. I mean, it's allowed me to have a drunken argument with Billy Corgan about which Hangover movie was better, 1 or 2. So
that is awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So when after watching Evil Dead 2 this time, it was kind of like only real thing I was wondering about is this would be 87. You'd have and eventually you have the movie The Majestic, where Bruce Campbell does a cameo. I can't remember who directed The Majestic.
Frank Darabont.
Okay, yes, thank you. But it's kind of like, what if you had Jim Carrey as Ash? Because he's the only other. It's really sad that Bruce Campbell was not like nobody took the time to really make a star out of him. Like,
yeah,
I think
he's got.
I don't know. He's never gotten that dramatic role because again, nobody's taken the time. Nobody took the time to make him a star. It's let's go write the Maniac Cop after this.
And I think have you read his books? If Chins Could Kill and
I have his book. I think it was originally a Christmas gift my mom got autographed for my little brother, and he just didn't take it with him when he moved out. And it's like, oh yeah, but you would take the Super Nintendo, the Nintendo 64. I'm taking this.
Heck yeah! Have you read it?
No, I haven't yet.
Oh well, in it he talks about what we're talking about, but the guy, in my imagination, the guy still has a great career. He could probably walk into, and I don't know what you have in where you're at, but he could probably walk. We got Kroger here shopping.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. We used to be a Kroger town. Now we got some Ruler Foods. I know the Kroger conglomerate. I still have Kroger. Like, I'm originally from Peoria. I moved out to Champaign, Urbana to try to get into a little more liberal culture. And yes, Champaign, Urbana, and in Savoy, they're great liberal place, a bunch of well-minded people, but those people eventually leave because it's a college town. And then you have to I work in retail, and I have to deal with the people who think driving 10 miles is a challenge.
Yeah.
So great. I got some good Karen stories, but that's another time.
I bet in retail. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he could go into one of those stores, and on average, now me and you and everyone listening, we would probably fanboy out. Most people are going to leave him alone because they don't know who he is. But he still has, if that is somebody's thing, he still has the money. When they call me Bruce, is that the name of it? They call me Bruce?
Yes, it is. I think it is because it's weird because there's a 80s movie I think about where somebody's mistaken for Bruce Lee, but I know the movie Ted. That might be Ted Raimi's finest performance.
It's My Name is Bruce.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, they filmed that on his on all his land that he's got in Oregon, and in some of the special the extras he's just jokingly, and I don't think so, that he was really joking that much. He's like, never film a movie on your own land. So he's got the land. So to me, he's got the one of the best working careers around. He's been in
I don't doubt that.
Yeah. Well, he's been in several of the Coen Brothers movies.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know he was in. Last one I saw him in was Hail Caesar. No, I don't think he was in Hail Caesar. I know he was in The Lady Killer.
Yeah, as the PETA guy.
Yeah,
He was in some sort of soap opera playing in the background in. I mean, I guess I could Google it. I want to say Fargo or
Wouldn't Surprise Me or Intolerable Cruelty. Yeah, I mean, he's made a living off being that guy. And of course, most that guys don't get a starring role. I mean, there's a podcast on the Ringer Network called The Rewatchables, and they originally they originally had when they give out awards for categories and such, they originally had the Joey Pants Award for that guy. and like Joe Pantoliano's never gotten a leading role. I can't
No.
think of one.
I would think after The Matrix came out, he couldn't, go to Kroger or Piggly Wiggly or whatever, if he goes shopping, without people going, "Oh, you're the guy that betrayed Neo." Now,
yeah, or you're the guy from the Goonies.
Yeah, or Bound.
Yes,
yeah.
That was something. That's a sad thing. Like when it comes to Joey Pants, is that he pretty much was in the movie that allowed the Wachowskis to make The Matrix.
Mm-hmm.
And then they kill him off in The Matrix. It's like, oh, we couldn't think we figured a convoluted way. And I liked The Matrix Resurrections. Maybe it's just I'm a fanboy for it, the franchise. I'm an apologist for the sequels.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like we could not have brought back Joey Pants if we could bring back two other dead characters. Couldn't have made him a virus or something. Not a virus, a NPC. I don't know.
I think they could have, but I'm not the biggest fan of the last one. But they could have, with everything else they were doing. He could have been he could have even been a glitch,
Right? Exactly.
Yeah. You got to give some loyalty, right?
Yeah.
And speaking of Carpenter, how many movies did he make with Russell? He's made at least 3, 4.
You've got the Escape movies, The Thing, and Big Trouble in Little China. Yeah, 4. Oh, but if you further watch it, Keith David's been in at least 2. Donald Pleasance. He wrote Halloween 2, so 2 movies there. Prince of Darkness, Escape from New York. Victor. Pretty much everybody from Big Trouble in Little China carried over into Prince of Darkness, and if you weren't in Big Trouble in Little China, you carried over into They Live. So
yeah.
I don't know. The problem with the Wachowskis is they made so much money. Really. Carpenter never got I don't think he's ever had a movie that's made over $100 million.
No, I don't even know, just off the top of my head, what you would think would be his most successful movie at the time. Because The Thing was
a bomb,
a flop.
Probably.
Well, it opened up against E.T.
Yes. No, and Blade Runner did it that year. Came out that year too, and obviously E.T. ate that up. Right. So no, I would probably say his biggest hit may have been They Live. Well, no, sorry, Halloween is his biggest hit.
And that's enough. If the guy never did anything else, Halloween is enough to cement his name in the.
So, but I think They Live was the only one I can think of that had a *1 opening weekend, and that must have finally been after the. All right, we're finally hung over on Who Framed Roger Rabbit. So because back when I was I was 8 when 8 in 88, and once my hometown is Morton, Illinois, 10 miles east of Peoria. We only had a single screen cinema at the time, and so it's a movie comes for a week and you better catch it. And I think I think Who Framed Roger Rabbit stuck around for a month, and then I think Batman stuck around for the entire summer the next year. So
bringing in the tickets.
Yeah. So so when going back to Evil Dead, we're talking the effects are brilliant. I think the one thing that I could say is in common with all of these movies essentially is that martyrs are pretty important to these possession stories.
Well,
I guess demons doesn't really have a martyr, but
well, you got some people that were go on without me, kill me. You know,
yeah,
you could stretch it. It would be a stretch.
Right. No, it's basically, oh yeah, no, I give leave me behind type stuff instead of
kill me, brother.
Shoving the devil into a mirror and you're not coming back in Prince of Darkness and Possessor, losing your entire family. Not to play my cards.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. So got, as I say, we got a hard out. Well, not that hard now. I can figure it out. But let's go on to your your 8:00 showing.
Well, after Demons, I think I would have to go back and scare the audience a little bit more, or make them think. Maybe it was getting too loud in the theater, so I chose Saint Maud out of 2000. Yeah. This is the movie when we were talking. It really does, that saying "rent free." It really does not leave my movie brain a lot. Point to make, the Rose Glass, this was her first feature film. So, props to that, because not a lot of people, very few and far between, they come out swinging like this. So in a nutshell, what Saint Maud is about is Maud, hence the name of the movie. She's a home health provider. She works for a company. The company sends her to take care of a patient. Her name's Amanda. She's dying of cancer. Former, I guess in that world, former famous dancer. You see it later in the movie, filmed in almost like dreamlike, of her doing some ballet dances, and I guess more what folks would call modern dance. I'm sorry, I'm not up on all my dance stuff. And as things go along, we learn that Maud is now, if you read the synopsis on a lot of it, she's a newly converted Catholic, but being raised Catholic myself, I don't recognize any of that there. But as the movie goes along, she gets more devout in her religious beliefs. And one of those is she's got to save Amanda's soul before she dies. Because Amanda, there's scenes of her partying, and they don't show it, but we can only assume that there's an affair going on between Amanda and a girlfriend of hers. We see a couple times in the movie. So, these are all things that upset Maud to the point that not only is she losing faith, but now she's more convinced that she's got to save Amanda's life, or soul, pardon me. And it turns out bad. This movie might not have been seen by a lot of people, so I'm not trying to.
Well, I believe it's a British feature, or maybe Irish. I don't know, from the Isles, correct?
Yeah. So it's interesting. It's one of those movies where they don't specifically say the city. I originally thought it was maybe it's on the coast somewhere. I originally thought it was Ireland, but Maud speaks in Welsh in some of those films, right. And Rose Glass is from England. So I wouldn't necessarily say that's what's really important in the film, and maybe that's why Glass decided not to put a name on it. Sort of like Seven, we just assumed it was New York.
Right. Oh, well, some people say L.A., which L.A. never rains that much, but I digress. I'm just jumping in there. So my dad, for what was originally supposed to be my 40th birthday gift, my dad wanted to take me over to England to see the Cubs Cardinals series back in 2020.
There you go.
Yeah. Oh, and of course, then the pandemic hit. It did get, but we got out to England. Of course, he's 3 years older. He's 75 now, and he's starting to accept the fact he can't really hang like he used to. So we just went for the games. Essentially, we caught the Book of Mormon, which I kind of plays into, I think, the religious elements of it, of some of these movies. But in England, like, it was very, between the baseball games and the Book of Mormon, it's like, I got to see some things. So I went to the portrait gallery, and it's a national portrait gallery, I should say. And it's a great lesson in history as you look through all these portraits. And basically, really, if you want to know the story of the Catholics versus the Protestants,
good place to go.
Post Henry VIII, yeah. So you get that vibe. There's always been a battle of the Catholics trying to state something against the Church of England,
and historically, vice versa as well. There was a time that if you were Catholic, you weren't gonna serve in any high functionary position in the royal government.
Oh no, it's and that's Catholic. That pretty much. So you had, the post Elizabeth, you had civil wars about all of this in England.
Yeah.
So
well, and that's what made me think, because she does not necessarily say she's Catholic, but that's what made me think it was more Ireland, and not the north of Ireland, but Ireland. Because that's a very, very, and I'm not good with accents. I apologize to everybody. That's what made me think it was Ireland and not the north of Ireland, because as though we don't know because they don't specifically say Catholic, the things she does, though they are extreme, some of her beliefs are Catholic in nature. Some of them, I think, all religions have some sort of flagellation, and you see her you see her doing that with putting the tacks in her shoes after her bad deed. You see her doing it. I want to say in one scene you see her wearing a hair shirt, but that could just be that her shirt in the scene before was wet, but I thought it was a hair shirt, which those things are, never worn one, but those things are horrible to wear. The reason I included this is because it's you could see it that Maud is just crazy.
Yeah.
You could see it. Yeah. You could see it that there's evil at work, or you could see it that it truly is God, that God has come upon her, and that's what she's seeing. I say, and I tend to agree with that. So we, of course, we're talking about possession in terms of the Exorcist movies. I think this is actually
the Holy Spirit bollocks. Yes. Sorry to drop the B word on that, but
no, you're fine. You're fine. But it's a different kind of possession.
Yeah.
She doesn't have 666 on the back or anything like that. But the reason that I think that she really loves William Blake, poet and painter.
Mm-hmm.
And if anyone has seen Manhunter,
yes. Well, you definitely should.
Well, yeah. The painting, the painting that's central to that.
The Red Dragon, yeah.
Exactly. That is Blake.
Mm-hmm.
And where I forget his name, but where the killer is like, you're about to witness something special. You're about to witness
the Tooth Fairy is the killer. I can't remember his name.
But
Red Dragon is entertaining enough. And I like Ed Norton. I don't care how much of an asshole he is to work with. But yes,
yeah,
no,
I don't have to work with him.
No, Manhunter is the way to go.
Oh, it's the only it's the only way to go. But that is also from Blake. So Blake, and today we want to write him off as crazy, because we as 2023 people in general don't want to fathom or accept any of this. Blake believed that he talked to angels. Blake also believed that they talked to him, almost like in a conversational way. He believed God was in him as well. There's a story that I don't know who it was right off the top of my head, but he saw a childhood friend die, and he claims that he saw the soul exit the body. Now you get Maud, who is experiencing the same things.
Mm-hmm.
So either they're both crazy or they're not.
Right.
And I really lean that she isn't.
Mm-hmm. So
because I'm sorry, I was thinking of my words. I try not to think that she isn't possessed by evil, even though she's done some evil acts, but that she is possessed by the Holy Spirit and the angels. Now, playing devil's advocate on myself, you could go the final scene.
When she tortures herself, correct?
Okay. Yes, you put it out there. Yeah, she burns herself. The self-immolation. You see her all happy, and then just real quick before it cuts to credits, you see her screaming. Was it the demon, or was it
her?
Burning?
Yeah.
Or was it her? Now we've all seen pictures of the Buddhist monks in Vietnam burning themselves.
With that said, Seven Psychopaths has a great little allegory about that. A Neil McDonough movie.
Oh, and that one's great. And if anyone has ever seen the cover of Rage Against the Machine's first album,
well, I mean, I can't remember the name because I know it's not Battle of Los Angeles.
But you know the picture.
Oh,
that's really famous. So there is a history of that sort of thing. In the Christian tradition, there is a not so much a tradition of it, but it's happened, and it's almost viewed as a not suicide, but almost as a cleansing, purifying act. So.
Well, I mean, you can go back to Winston. I'm sorry, not Winston. Don't blame the North Carolinians. Salem.
The Salem trials.
The entire reason you burn somebody is to cleanse them.
Exactly. So we could see that as she's cleansing herself before she goes to heaven.
Yes.
If she goes to heaven.
Right. Okay.
And that whole.
No, keep going.
I was going to say that all played into my decision or how I viewed the film, that, she's just overcome with the Lord, which I would argue is possession. She has the convulsions and the seizures out of the blue. Now I'm assuming... well, I don't know anything about the actress except the movies that she was in, but randomly,
she is Gadriel in the Rings of Power.
She is.
I have not. I only watched the first episode, and I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying, like, gosh, that's a lot of exposition.
It is, and a lot of maps. I saw the first 3. I liked it, but you know what? There's so much other good stuff.
Especially on Amazon Prime. The Boys, Generation B. I mean, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, here's a kind of like a 6 degrees kind of thing. And and I'm mispronouncing her name, so if she's listening, I'm sorry. Morfydd Clark. She plays Maud. She was in Pride and Prejudice and Zombies.
Oh, now, I did not catch that. I have so. All right, I'll be up front. Saint Maud did not get into my rewatch. It was scheduled, but it's no. I'm glad you brought it up because it's a movie. Like, I've seen so many videos about Saint Maud. Again, just that's the problem with cord cutting, is that you really depend on YouTube for your education. And I can't stand the freaking ads anymore. But I'm not going to pay them $10. Like, when I have like I want to support the Colt Cabana, professional wrestler, Art of Wrestling. He's finally gotten the rights back to his original catalog. But, you know, if you want to listen to it without ads, you got to pay him, which I'd love to pay him, except I work 2 retail jobs. And so obviously I'm broke.
You got to take care of yourself first.
Right. But I like to joke around with my Thanks Obama story. Like, I'm listening to Spotify. Full disclosure, communist is my goal. I believe the system can work, and we can eventually convert to that. Hence, I'm not a militant or somebody who's going to, or somebody who's going to vote for Bernie Sanders. But, end to the Republican Party. Oh, I'm searching for that. All right. So, but just make that clear. So,
all right.
And so I'm a big Obama fan myself. But I kept listening to, going to bed, listening to Spotify, the music as I'm stoned. Illinois is a state where you have legal marijuana.
I'm jealous.
Yeah, well, see, that changes everything, regardless of your political standpoint. Not, and
Tennessee will never get legalized marijuana.
Yeah,
never.
Right. But I had to listen to so many ads for. It's just basically the repetition of ads. It's like, well, people are subscribing to Spotify anyhow, so we don't have to go and get a lot of ads. But so it's basically Spotify advertising for themselves. Hence, you get a lot of Michelle. Like, I was just sick of every 15 minutes having to listen to Michelle or Barack talking about their podcasts. It's like, screw it. I'll give you $10 a month, Spotify. I don't want, like, I'm all for those. I'm all for those podcasts. I just don't want to hear about them anymore.
See, I did the opposite. I was tired of supporting Joe Rogan, so I was like,
"Oh, yeah, no, I don't even
I'm not
want to get into that."
Anymore.
Yeah, no,
yeah.
At least, well, Spotify is owned by a bunch of Swedes. They don't have a clue. I'll give them that.
Oh, yeah.
So,
right.
Like, why in the hell am I getting 24 hour support, actually chatting to a real person when I'm trying to update everything? Damn. Oh, it's because they're in frickin' Europe and it's only 8 a.m. over there.
All right. And yeah.
But yeah, it basically, and for my Colt Cabana Art of Wrestling, I know Colt personally. It's like, dude, I just don't have the $5, but gosh, can you try to get more ads? I just don't want to hear about all these casino games. Like, it was cool when you're getting dispensaries advertising.
Yeah.
Or maybe I just need to change my VPN again, keep changing my VPN every week and getting different ads. I digress.
Different ads. Yeah. Well, no, that's cool. No, but what I was going to say
is sorry. Yeah.
No, you're fine. This is what it's all about, right?
Right. Oh no. As I'm on, two Kentucky coffees, as I like to call them, and margarita too. So.
Oh, I know the Kentucky coffee. So yeah, she was in Pride and Prejudice and Zombies.
Right.
Jennifer Ehle, E-H-L-E. I'm sure I'm pronouncing your name. I'm sorry. She was in one of her early roles was a BBC production of Pride and Prejudice. So they got a little connection there. But she plays Amanda, and Amanda, she's I mean, I guess you could you could write it off as that she's dying, and she's scared.
Yeah.
But everything that she does is to the opposite of that, to the point where she's actually ridiculing Amanda for believing in God and believing in all that. She lulls Maud into like, oh yeah, I believe. But then as soon as Maud does something, she spits at her and says, the God that you believe in doesn't exist. It all ends right here. Again, having to save a soul, because you're not. So according to a lot of religions, to which I subscribe to none of them, but in a lot of religions, you die in that state, you're not going to see what comes after.
Right.
Fanning her. Yeah. Sorry.
No. You're. Look,
I thought you were
I'll be well. As I say, Saint Maud didn't make it. As I say, I just really know all the videos I watch about it.
It's. Do you get Amazon Prime at all?
Oh yeah, I do. I can't. Again, the boys.
block yourself off 2 hours one day. It is a fabulous movie. It was easily in my top 10 of 2019. Easily.
Yeah. Well, for me, so when I moved out Champaign-Urbana, and she's definitely I mean, she could probably claim co-producer of 90 for Chill, the podcast with CatBusRuss. 5-star reviews, just make sure I get all that stuff. We were together for nearly 4 years, and but she suffers from schizoaffective disorder, and she was raised Catholic. She's currently a evangelical. So, but we got into a lot of conversations about my soul and what have you. And dare I say, I just end up dating a lot of crazy Catholic chicks. No offense, Allie, because I love the crazy. Because regardless of faith, it seems like crazy chicks all the time. So, but
right.
But I do get this, and especially when you have now it's like, sorry Allie, when you have mental illness and you're trying to overcompensate it with faith, you end up with this. And for me, like I fear it wasn't as traumatic as it should have been. I've watched a man. Oh hell! I sold him the gasoline to self. Yeah. So it's just.
Wow.
Yeah. So I mean, it's I guess there might be a question of fear, of watching a movie like Saint Maud, because it's very, very much close to home type stuff, and
bring up a lot of memories you're not trying to remember.
Well, I don't know. I don't think and I've been to therapy. I don't know if I really, Mr. Crispy, as I joke about it. Sorry, my sense of humor, so I went back to JUCO basically so I can eventually take a screenwriting course, which eventually, as the pretentious artist that I am, eventually dropped the course despite I was doing well in it. But it took me a while.
That's good stuff.
But it took me a while to get to that course, because I went oh, you're gonna have it this semester, cool, and it's like, yeah, we didn't get enough people signing up for it, so 3 years later, it's like, all right, I'll get this course. And it's like, dude, I don't want all this practice. Let me write my movie. Sheesh.
Well, you could subscribe to, there's a scene in The Doors where Jim Morrison goes up to Ray and says, how'd it go, in your film class today? And he said, well, I went to him with my movie idea, and paraphrasing here. I went to him with my final movie script or idea. They said, where's your script? And I told him Godard doesn't use a script. And they said, that's great. Who's Godard?
Oh well, my case was when I wrote this story. My when I translated it into a story called Too Soon, because humor is just how I joke about anything. Like I was the guy who didn't seem immediately affected by, and I'm the guy who ran out, who still had his head amongst him to run out with a fire extinguisher trying to save his life. So I wrote a story because I had to take, creative writing 120 or whatever. Sorry. All right. Thank you very much, Jonathan, for not being the guy to cross that line. So I write this story basically, and as I say, I took a comedic approach to it, and my professor at the time, I don't want to call him a professor. I don't know if he had that PhD or his M. I don't know if he had his doctorate, because I knew a bunch of people at Illinois Central College who's like, no, I am a professor. I have my doctorate. All right, whatever.
It's just academia.
Yeah. He said, death is never funny. I got a B on the paper, but he took the time to say death is never funny.
That's not true.
Right. Watch the Darwin. Listen to any YouTube video you see that mentions Darwin Awards, and you'll know death is funny.
Well, even in cinema, and I say this not being able to give an example right off the top of my head, but even in cinema, death at a funeral.
Or well, you want to break it down to simple: Kim Jong-un getting killed at the end of the interview. I mean,
yeah. So there's a way to do it. Dark has had this teacher ever heard of dark humor?
Yeah,
gallows humor,
right?
I mean, so there's ways to do it.
Yeah. So, but I'm just saying, Saint Maud's definitely been on the queue. It's just like I've lived with somebody, as they say, she's evangelical now. She'll probably say, I'm not evangelical. I'm with the whatever charisma something Bob Dylan was associated with at some point. But she still, fears for souls and such. It's like,
right.
I mean, my personal belief is, I don't know. I don't remember being born. Hence, I don't know if I'll recognize being dead. And I think I've had communications with spirits. So I think just existence is a constant, and everything, and the only person to argue against that is my mom, which is kind of cool because she does her best to be a Fox News subservient, but it's like, well, I think reincarnation is probably the way it ends up, just because there's not enough space for people to just be wandering around. So
what? And you've got to. There's several thoughts on that, but there have been some scientists who say matter cannot be created nor destroyed.
Yeah. Oh, and
which is a law.
You're right.
So all we are is matter.
Yeah.
So we're never going to be destroyed. I heard in a movie, can't remember it off the top of my head, the character saying, well, do you remember what it was like before you were born? And the other character was like, no. And he's like, that's what death is.
Right. No, it's, I just fascinated my mom, despite all her political beliefs, there comes a point where you got to be reasonable about all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, Saint Maud, as I say, it's just one of those, like, gosh, that's going to be Saint Maud is going to be an intense, and I don't know if I would have put it as your second movie, because that would lead into my third movie, which is Possessor. And that's what you call a transition. And so when it came to finally watching The Exorcist last night, it's like, well, I mean, it's a brilliant movie. I don't know if it nails the horror. Like, I ended up rating it 4.5 stars on Letterboxd. Well, I see you did it for my older sister, the poetic critic, did it for. It's like, well, maybe I'm giving it the extra credit. I'm surprised.
Oh, I don't do halves.
Okay, I can understand that. Like, oh, don't get me started on watching commercials for video games. I work at an electronics store, so it's like I have to pay attention to this stuff. 9.5, like 9.5. You mean 4.25 star? Like, there comes a point where, you know, I mean, again, being so my older sister, the poetic critic on Letterboxd, she's high-end autism, and so she doesn't do a great job socially, but you know, she's my sister, so I'm gonna listen to her.
Amen.
And that helped with my understanding of, you know, critical thought when it comes to cinema. Like, I could have just been another guy like, oh, come on, give me a horror movie, which no, wouldn't have because I'm the second oldest child in my family, which makes me the oldest child, since my older sister is very easy to just say, nope, you don't do this, and she'll listen. So I'm essentially, so my older sister is essentially, you know, once you deal with all the bullying issues, very easy to raise, very obedient. And me, it's like, well, we don't know about you, Russ.
Yeah.
So you're the oldest child, and of course my little brother nearly got away with everything, but yeah. So
I laugh because I'm the youngest.
Yeah, freaking babies.
Yeah, my brother's often said, "I paved the way for you, man."
I think he's got a lot more wisdom than I do. I will say that, my little brother. But he definitely knew, it's like, yeah, no, you can only trust yourself, and I'll give him that. But Possessor, it's like, so watching this again, like I watched it a while ago when I still subscribed to Hulu and it was on there, and then it finally became a $5 rent, $5 on iTunes. It's like, nope, I can't pass that up. And I loved David Cronenberg. Like,
yeah,
I can't think of I would say the only movie that's not good of his would be Rabid, his version of Rabid. I like the remake myself, the Sausage.
You like? Oh, okay. That's where we
diverge. Well, I mean, I've been with the Soska twins since Dead Hooker in a Trunk, so maybe I'm just right. And they appreciate my kitty pictures on Twitter. So
we you know, that's what makes us us. If you like everything I like, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
No, exactly. Well, no, as I said, I've never gotten around to The Exorcist until now. So, I mean, it's like I wanted to, but, you know, hey, somebody got to push me. So, but Possessor, Brandon Cronenberg, and this like I watched it originally and loved it, and then watching the rewatch, it's like, oh, geez, man, this is more of a head trip than I initially thought. But it's a movie essentially about a firm that assassinates people, and they do it by putting the consciousness of their assassin inside a unsuspected party. Our hero, though, damn, that's a weird term.
Yeah.
Our protagonist.
That's better, yeah.
Yes. Is an assassin, but she's arguing at the fact that I did have a regular life before this. But she takes this job to kill Sean Bean, which should be an easy task if you're just familiar with Sean Bean.
Yeah.
So it's
he never makes out of a movie alive, right?
Right. Rarely.
Yeah, rarely.
So,
Rarely.
yeah.
Even
So,
James Bond took him out early.
right. So it's a damn, I'm just looking at my notes. It's a big crime of CGs. Oh, so my first note actually, as I'm reading it, it's like the big crime of computer generated images, which I've like gone and tried burying Jurassic Park in many science fiction conventions. Just like yeah, since we created CG, everybody tries to use it, and it goes back to Ian Malcolm saying you were so concerned about figuring out if you could do it, you didn't stop and realize should you do it. Hence, I'm a big practical effects fan, but
oh yeah.
So we have an assassin sent on their next assignment to kill Sean Bean, who owns a data mining firm, which is the most intrusive one, and thankfully people acknowledge it in the movie about its intrusiveness. Like, basically your grunts, your lower level people are watching whatever cameras they can access and trying to look at somebody's home and determining what they have in there. So say you're assigned to do with drapes, figure out, all right, these people have this, and then somebody takes that data and like, all right, we're going to create the ultimate drape. But you're very much a voyeur, and you're watching people do it, and you're supposed to focus on the drapes.
Yep.
Type world. So we're supposed to kill Sean Bean so that your assassination company can own all of the stock. And hell, maybe you become legit.
They're gonna it's the son that wants to take the company, but they're gonna pull a fast one and take it from the son.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
So with that said, the assassin is going to be put into the body of the lover of the daughter who would get the company if Sean Bean dies.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So there you go. I love the fact that it's Jennifer Jason Leigh as the as her superior, the one monitoring our assassin.
Yeah.
Just because, again, think back to Existence. That's big X, big Z. Just the. And so love the Cronenberg connection there to David, of course, Brandon's father. And I need to get the actress's name because the only other movie I've seen her in, and I believe it's Andrea Riseborough, was she was the girlfriend of Bill Murray in, not Bill Murray. Fuck, sorry. Oh gosh, I did not want to have to edit this episode. Can't get two words in PG-13. Thank you again, Jonathan, for your restraint.
Man, I told you, I was like, nope, there's a time and place for everything.
Yeah.
But it's your rules, you can break them, right?
No, I can, but I'm I mean, I don't claim, like, my mom is probably still big on using Asperger's instead of high-end autism, I just don't want to recognize a Nazi. Right. But she likes to say, oh, it's throughout all my children. It's like, I don't think so. Yes, the actress is Andrea Riseborough.
Yeah.
So it's
she was
sorry, that was all static on your end.
Go on.
So I know her from
I was gonna say she was in To Leslie.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, a lot of static, but I at least I know what I'm looking for. Birdman, Oblivion, Possessor, top 4. I think I saw Matilda the musical, also Amsterdam, which is one of she's a great character actress, I guess. It's kind of which I don't know what that says, sadly, because of our society, that character actress is, I think the best person we have for that is Margot Robbie. Because I think she can play about anything, and not, I guess I'm essentially calling Margot Robbie the Brad Pitt of female actresses, because Brad Pitt is a character actor.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just he happens to be, some guy after, if I'm in a good buzz and some suggestion, I'm his plaything. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'll say. Margot
Right
Robbie. I mean, if you want a guy in his mid-40s, I'm game. But I'm saying your ability as an actress would have made me somebody in my 20s. So,
yeah. Well, and Risenborough, she was in To Leslie.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, if you recall, the last Oscars? There was a big fervor about how she got nominated, and it was because Brad Pitt and all these other people were like, "We saw this movie, it's awesome, great, it's awesome," and people were like, "Oh, well, that's why she got nominated. They broke the rules," and she's filming. Yeah.
One thing is, no, that's not that exactly is the rules.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Meryl Streep. Not that, let's not recognize your movie supporting Peggy Thatcher.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah. Okay, so I think I've defined Possessor enough. I need to get back to my notes, and we gotta start. Well, we got plenty of time, but it's kind of like, oh geez, I think I got plenty. Yeah, I got plenty of time, but it's like Max von Sydow is just arrived at the house. So okay.
Oh.
So no, my comment was the big crime of CG is every production company demands 5 seconds for their cool logo.
Oh yeah.
Come on, let's just jump into the flick.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but there I do have my Evil Dead reference, like Ash. Tasia Vaz has to deal with knowing who she is, or if she is that person, which is the big thing. Basically, can the parasite, dare I say, the possessor, control everything, or will the host eventually fight back? That's the premise of the movie.
And he does at certain times. Near the end, that's where the streams, to take from another movie, that's where the streams start crossing, and he remembers. She's kicked out somehow. He remembers, and he goes to
her family.
To her house. Yeah.
And I cannot spoil the twist on that one.
No.
No. So but there's a lot of elements, like I would say you get a Ghost in the Shell vibe with the entire trying to figure out who's who type situation. I mean, a lot of anime, honestly. There's another movie I love called Your Name, by director Makoto Shinkai, which is a story about two people who transfer bodies. So it's a guy in Tokyo and a girl in a country, and for like just randomly every day or so they get transferred and they really get to understand each other. It's a beautiful movie. So yeah, it's called Your Name, which is awkward because it came in the year of it came out to the States, at least in the year of Call Me by Your Name.
Yeah.
Which, I don't really get into Army, like Timothy Chalamet. All I can say is, gosh, that guy is. We might have finally perfected Johnny Depp. But then you get into the Army Hammer element, and it's like, I don't know, maybe I need to watch all the documentaries. It's kind of like Army Hammer. It might just be some weird cake. I don't know what that tells you about me, but no branding your initials. I will say that much. But,
no,
yes.
we won't. I won't even tattoo anyone's name on me.
Oh well, of course, no, but yeah. So you don't, yeah. Some other note though I had, which is a big thing about, especially since we're talking, getting to the Exorcist, is Satanism and capitalism. I think of the movie Not Your Next, sorry. Ready or Not.
Oh yeah.
Which eventually is like, yes, all the capitalists are fueled by Satanism. And it's kind of like, yeah, is there really that? I mean, money is the root of all evil and all that bollocks, but it's like, has cinema really resorted to just equating Satanism with capitalism? And
they don't even do it in a subtle way.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Right. So, but yeah, no, you're selling Possessor, you're selling your soul out so that your employer can get a lot of money, and maybe you can retire and enjoy your family. Spoiler alert, you're not going to do the latter.
Yeah.
So, but Possessor, I mean, this last showing, it's like Evil Dead and then Possessor. It's like, dude, these are 2 5-star bangers in my opinion. Evil Dead 2, it's like, I was almost disappointed. Yeah. Like, I'm here for the Exorcist, and it's like feeling like, and I'm gonna give it 4.5 star. And the 2 parties I'm trusting the most on it, be it the Man on Fire and the Poetic Critic. Oh, don't go that deep, Russ. And you defined yourself basically, so it's an argument for my older sister. So at least I'll get some content out of that.
Yeah, when I first saw it, I didn't see it in the movie theater. I think I might have gotten it actually through the now defunct red envelope.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm disappointed that I guess I'm not on the 10 DVDs.
I haven't gotten my 10.
No, I haven't gotten mine either, but I did get John Dies at the End as my last official DVD, so I'm going to call myself a winner there.
Right. Just as a side note, I got for I'm mispronouncing his name. Hold on. I don't want to sound totally ignorant on your cast. Almodovar.
Okay.
Pedro.
Yeah, Pedro Almodovar. Yeah, well, yeah. Now that we're thinking about it, it's like I'm not going to pronounce it correctly. Pedro
I can
Almodovar.
His name, yeah, I pronounce his name perfectly until now. I got I'm So Excited, which is just hysterical. The Skin I Live In.
Oh, nice.
Speaking of horror movies, Laws of Desire.
Nice.
And Parallel Mothers. His last one was just amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting on the other 6.
Right. Well, hey, as I say, at least you got that. I watched Unleashed, like, okay, I better turn this in so I can get my 10. And it's like, oh, you'll get this by the 30th. Damn it.
Oh, I didn't know you could go on there. I was just waiting for a surprise,
Okay. Well, no, I probably should have done that instead of like, hey, get me a new DVD.
Oh, I'm how many thousands of people got that last DVD and didn't turn them in?
No, and those are the wise ones.
Wow.
So
I don't know what the rules were, but
nor do I. I know I have within the next year I get a 3-month subscription to Netflix for free if I choose to use it. So
how'd you manage that?
Well, probably because I didn't get because I played by the rules. Like, oh, you want your DVD back? Okay.
Oh,
So,
I didn't see that rule.
well, no, I don't think it was. That's just it. I don't know what the rules were. I'm just saying.
Oh, okay, I got you.
And I haven't seen that notice saying, "Hey, there's too many things to stuff in your apartment mailbox. Go to the post office." I haven't received that letter yet, so that note.
I got you.
So,
Well, that's how I first came on Possessor. I think I saw a lot of people tweeting about it then, not today. So I was like, I got to check this out. And that opening scene, I just was like, holy cow, this is how we're going to start this thing. All right, I'm in.
I mean, I'm a big fan of the sex scene in the movie, and then like really trying to blur lines. Like, do you possess or not? Like,
well, and like you said, I think that might be the question they're asking. But at the same time, you've got this. So that was you could they do the test to see if you're good or not.
Yeah.
We know at the end. I'm not trying to give anything away because this really is a movie people have got to see. And
it's only 4 years old, 3 years old. I think. Yeah.
Is the statute of limitations still good that you shouldn't spoil it?
Right.
Okay. Well, if you saw Infinity Pool, you got to see this.
Okay, good. I needed that recommendation because I work at a liquor store and I work at an electronic retailer. Not going to give my names out. If you go all the way back to episode 1, you can hear me slip and tell my employer. I've lost an employer. I lost a job because of breaking confidentiality, despite never mentioning that employer once.
Oh,
yeah.
But they got some free publicity.
I'm sorry?
They got some free publicity.
Well, the guys I'm still working for, it's sadly our society. I got to work 2 jobs. But
yeah.
So no, I keep seeing the steel book and it's like, goes back to Sisu. It's like, I was disappointed like one week. I didn't have a thing planned. And then it's like, oh, this came out. I'm going to buy that with my employee discount. And I will rent I will rent the red box. And like, if I didn't like it, I'll return the steel book.
Yeah.
So
that's kind of
Infinity Pool's in that situation. So I'm glad to hear if you liked Infinity Pool, what are you doing? Watch Possessor.
Yeah, you've got to. But she is clearly damaged.
Oh.
And they kind of reveal it. It'd be like one of those a real world analogy, maybe you're a coal miner and you definitely have the black lung.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they still stand you down when you should not be going down, and anybody with any responsibility would not send you down. But going to your capitalism thing, that's not what capitalism is about. They don't care about you. They don't care about me. They just want the job done and they want their money.
Well, I will say, Jennifer Jason Leigh, like, she is a cold-minded bitch.
She plays that role well.
Cold-hearted bitch, but she's got clues that Andrea Riseborough might not be that.
Mm-hmm.
So perhaps at the end, how it all ends up is her way of saying, like, hey, I had to go and break you. But I think she's genuinely compassionate because she understands that she is, she was able to succeed at this, and she's just not healthy enough to continue doing this.
But yet she sends her on.
But she keeps sending her on, but early on that Riseborough is not ready for this.
Right.
And she keeps saying that, hey, you need more time? Cool. I'm just saying that she understands that, yeah, I am totally devoid of emotion. But she understands people aren't. Other people aren't.
Mm-hmm.
So
And then with Christopher, I love Christopher Abbott. He's
Okay.
just he's one of those guys that, like, you know, once you see him in something, it's like, no, I want to check out more of this guy's stuff, but he still isn't like a household name.
Right.
But he was really, really good in that. How he managed to act, he had to act like someone acting like him, and then he had to act like the character. That was some real,
yeah, beyond meta elements, and it's like
and he did it so well.
Yeah, I'm looking through his well, he started some pretty solid stuff. I know it comes at night. I liked Wisco Tango Foxtrot. Those are the top 4 that pop up. James White, and I've heard good things about that one. So yeah.
He was also in the TV series on Hulu, the TV series of, if you want to call it that, Catch-22.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, the entire, like, I don't think anybody's really successfully nailed Catch-22. So to even dare challenge it, you got to be there. Well, so
yeah, and to challenge the already classic movie with Adam Arkin.
Well, that's what I'm saying. A lot of people don't give the movie a lot of credit. It's like they can't translate the book.
No, yeah, which a lot of books you can't, but that one maybe more so. But if you like it, check, and it comes at night.
Yeah. Oh no, that's the next level of apocalypse movies there.
Oh yeah, and again, it's one of those movies that I don't think people really saw, or talk about. But it's definitely, the elevated horror. It's definitely
it's an A24, dare I say?
Yeah.
You're right. All right, so Father Damien has been left the room, so we got to kind of get.
We got to start wrapping up before.
Before
the body of Christ compels us to.
Oh, I think we're beyond that. So, but as I say, I got an idea of when I got to get out of here, so no worries.
Okay. All right. You just want.
Yeah, let's just get to your 10 o'clock show, which I think I know what it is. So
my 10 o'clock showing to wrap up the night would be Event Horizon.
Oh yes,
not popular when it came out, but it got a new lease on life, as it were, thanks to DVD and streaming and all that.
Well, I'd go all the way back to cable. I saw it a lot of times back on your HBOs, your Stars, your Encores.
Cable, but it just was not successful
in the cinema. No, because it bombed. It was easy to get the rights to. Hence, you're going to see it on every cable movie channel.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is.
It's a genre movie, and those don't necessarily, do big dollars.
No. We've done a podcast on Event Horizon, and I don't mind talking about it again because, especially after this. Well, right, but especially after this rewatch about possession, and it's like, well, Evil Dead 2 is more about the environment being possessed than it is about people getting possessed. And how do you beat a spaceship that's gone to hell and wants to take the next people to hell? And never mind the fact that it's a movie starring, oh gosh, and I'm blanking on his name, which is
Lawrence Fishburne.
Well, Lawrence Fishburne is awesome in it, but
Sam
Neill, thank you. Yeah, that's what I was reaching for. And Sam Neill is like, I still got to get around to it on Shudder since it's on there now, since we have the 4K release and what have you of Possession. From,
he's been in a horror movie or two before this, that's for sure.
Well, I mean, he was Damien in the third.
Yes.
So
yep. He sure was.
So I will say, I did not. I have a copy of The Mouth of Madness. Have not watched it yet, but it's like I know this guy can't hold an American accent for too long, so it's good that he's doing just Australian in this one.
Yeah, because the character, doesn't necessarily, because we are in the future, it doesn't necessarily be an American thing, whatever.
Well,
so you don't have to.
It's a fun element of the movie if you watch if you look at the insignia of the flag on his jumpsuit.
Mm-hmm.
It's of what essentially he's a Kiwi. I don't want to get my ass kicked by Zoe Bell by confusing Kiwis and Aussies.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
Right. Oh, I don't know. That's okay. That's an entirely different
different podcast.
Yes. No, it's so Sam Neill, but basically Event Horizon is about a spaceship that was trying to make that complete the Tesseract for those who learned about bending time in grade school from A Wrinkle in Time, which seems to be untranslatable.
No, they're doing the wormhole thing.
Yeah,
which
right.
Stephen Hawking postulated the theory of the wormhole, and when he was alive, he's the physicist that when he spoke, everybody listened.
Right.
He also the father of the black hole and all that, which all this stuff plays into that.
Yeah.
Hence the name of the ship
being the Event Horizon.
And
it's a spaceship that creates its own black hole to travel extreme distances. Mm-hmm. You might have to make a detour to hell, essentially, is what this movie's about.
Yeah, and that's so the way I look at Event Horizon, it really follows a basic formula of all these movies. A crew is somehow called off of their main mission. Now in Event Horizon, they're just on R&R, but they're called back from it to go investigate the Event Horizon, all the way on the other side of the galaxy. When they get there, bad things start happening. They've got to jump onto the Event Horizon, which is a bad ship. They got to fix everything. People die along the way. It follows that formula, which isn't bad.
Well, it's like Aliens and The Exorcist all tied into one, and Hellraiser on top of that.
Hellraiser. If the internet is to be believed, and why wouldn't you believe the internet? There is 30 minutes of film that he cut that exists somewhere, and it is supposed to be some of the most horrific, gruesome footage that he shot, that the studio wanted out because they were like, we can't release this with all that kind of stuff.
I believe it was found in a salt mine in Croatia.
Yes, yeah, I believe so. Yeah, earthquake unearthed it.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's a trip to hell that should, is to be made at some point.
And that almost is like the Hellraiser element of it. There's a it's not weird, but there's one character either from the original crew. Anyway, you see him floating, and his face has the pinhead cuts on it, where you could just imagine pins going in.
Yeah.
For Pinhead, he does mash up all these kind of elements. The very end scene. Now again, the statute limitations is over because this thing came out in 1997.
Yep.
That end scene where Jolie Richardson's character is having a dream. It's him. She wakes up. And the door opens up.
Yeah, you think it. Okay, she had a dream. She wakes up.
Yeah.
And
But
she's in the hands of the rescue crew, and then the door shuts again.
Yeah, but before that, I'm talking about the scene where the door opens up and they're all it's that smoky kind of stuff. Flashlights are breaking through it. That is a whole cut cloth out of Alien's opening scene where they discover Ripley. I mean, almost the heartbeat. Boom, 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 boom. The dream, the rescue crew, everything.
Yeah.
So he definitely matched those up. But yeah, like you mentioned, what separates this from all those other movies is that gravity drive, is the place that you go to while you're getting to the other side of where you want to go to, if you even get there. That's what makes this movie fun, scary, maybe not, maybe to some people, and then what it ends up doing to Dr. Weir. He becomes the ship or the devil or Pinhead. You know, the famous.
He knows his place. Like,
yeah.
And and he's accepted it, which is a scary thing.
He's in for a penny, in for a pound, and you get that the iconic Lawrence Fishburne looks at him and goes, "What happened to your eyes?" And he says, "Well, we're going.
We don't need them."
Yeah, so that's what separates all this from all the other bad things happen in space movies, and I think the cast separates it too. You know, you can't argue.
Jason Isaacs, Sean Pertwee, and that's just
Kathleen Quinlan.
Yes.
Not a lot of people might be familiar with her, but she's been around, you know, for ages. Lawrence Fish, Sam Neill.
Yeah,
I mean, it's solid.
It's kind of sad that his next movie essentially was Resident Evil. And I like the Resident Evil movies, except for the last one. Like, it's good.
I got burned out on them.
Oh no, it's first. The first one is great. It's more or less like, come on, can't you give us a video game adaptation, not just like, oh, I'll pick and choose.
Yeah, well,
so if you're like, it's easy to chap out after the third one, let alone sticking around for the sixth one.
It is. And in between that, he did such great films like Pompeii.
Right.
I say that very, very sarcastically.
Three Musketeers.
Which
is basically, hey, how can I still show off my hot wife? And it's like, you know, since The Fifth Element, I've been obsessed with her, so I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then you got Monster Hunter,
which wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, but
no,
it ain't good.
But you know, it's one of those movies. Like, I look at some movies like that one. You know, it's late at night.
I know what I'm getting myself into.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But at least when he was doing Event Horizon, I mean, you know, maybe he hadn't been spoiled by the big budgets or, you know, what have you. Because before this, he made Mortal Kombat. Yes, thank you.
It was a lot of fun. I'm not.
Yeah.
It doesn't hold up in 4K, but it was
no.
Yeah.
But this guy is the epitome of video game director.
No, and I think he's a great 3D director.
Mm-hmm.
Which is one of those weird things. Like, why hasn't anybody else tried to be a good 3D director? It's a schlocky concept. Like, oh, you're doing this strictly for a buck and a gimmick.
Mm-hmm.
But no, there's an art to it, and I will say Paul W.S. Anderson kind of nailed it.
Yeah.
Granted, you need scripts. You like, aside from the shower sequence in Resident Evil 4 Afterlife, which is really brilliantly shot, but it's like, there needs to be a story behind that instead of
and you need actors.
Yeah, no, Mila is a decent enough actress, but
he
doesn't like, nobody goes to a Paul W.S. Anderson movie like, Oh, you mean I have to go and try to give an A game on that?
Yeah.
I hate to say that. I hate to say that, Ron Perlman. Like, but Ron Perlman always gives you Ron Perlman. But
yeah, you know what you get when you get, and Ron Perlman, he's been in, he definitely, he's kind of like, and I'm going to get a lot of heat, but he's kind of like Samuel L. Jackson, where he's not going to turn out a script that goes on his agent's desk. So in the middle of
and this kind of brings me back to the beginning of my podcast. So I always do a shot of Malort, which is, I believe, still an Illinois only alcohol. But I got into this Malort, back in 2007, where it was only a Chicago alcohol. I did not, I really want to know what he felt, because I think some guys challenged him to drinking Malort. It was a part of the.
They challenged Ron Perlman?
Yeah. Well, no, they asked him, have you tried it? Do you want to try it? This is an alcohol that my best friend said she came across it when she was in Joliet, Illinois, not even an hour south of Chicago. And she said it tastes like smells of flowers, tastes like rotting meat.
Nice.
Yeah, I drink this stuff up. I drink this stuff up because was the rite of passage to Chicago wrestling. Like, I did not know that they get, I was part of the, I was working my ass off to be part of the wrestling business, but I did not know that I was accepted into it until they invited me to shoot this stuff. and now it's all over downstate. So granted, it's been 15 years, but it's like,
yeah.
So yeah,
I want to challenge Ron Perlman to do anything.
Oh,
I think that guy could snap me like a twig.
Oh, yeah, it's one of those weird ones when you're happy to be snapped, though.
Yeah. Hey, you know who broke me in half? Ron Perlman.
Yeah.
I met Ron Perlman.
Right.
He broke me back.
Yeah. All right. So we spent a lot of time on the marathon, so let's get this main event going. The Exorcist. Which is a brilliant film. As you say, I did 4.5 stars. I just couldn't give it 5. Because I think by the end of it, and I don't know, a lot of people are really affected by the end of it. For me, it's like, man, we kind of wrapped that up fast. But it's all of the boundaries it pushed on the way there. Like, I am somebody who loves to use the C word in a non-feminine directed way.
Right.
I mean, I love English cinema, so hey, it's just the
Hear
word
that a
they
lot.
use. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I'm a little freaked out when it's like, do you know what your C-word ing daughter did?
Yeah.
Damn.
Oh, it's. But
so,
that's
yeah.
that's the tool of the devil, is to shock and mortify, just like when he said your mother sucks. In hell.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a great Robot Chicken sketch about that, where it's like, your mama sucks in hell, and it's like, well, I know she was pretty that was kind of her thing. So, but she loves all of them. Like, the white ones, the big ones, the small ones, the black ones. Oh, no, that's not my mother you're talking to. She was an inherent racist. I'm sorry, ma'am. Keep sucking those in hell.
Right? Yeah.
So,
I recall that.
Yeah.
But with being raised again, I fall back.
Right. I was gonna say, I was raised Methodist, and it's like,
yeah,
it was a pretty repetitive Sunday school. Like, and we'll do something Old Testament until we get to Christmas. Then we're going to do Jesus, and then we're going to go back to Easter.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're not gonna give me all the juicy details about John the Baptist getting decapitated.
Oh, they didn't teach you that?
Yeah.
Catholics love talking about that stuff. So The Exorcist scared the dickens out of me. I couldn't, because I saw it as a kid.
All right.
And
well, yeah, as I say,
yeah. I think if you're 43 and you see it, you're not going to be scared. Maybe
I'm not saying I was not shocked. Like, whoa,
right? Well,
litany, what the like? I did not expect Ellen Burstyn to earn her Red Wings during this movie.
Right? But I think if you were 43 in 75 when it came out?
Yeah, no. I don't know how you. That's the entire thing about the franchise is how do you make this work after the Reagan administration?
You can't. It's just it doesn't have the same oomph to it. So
no, people are and that's a sad thing just in the fact that is it a sad thing? I don't know. It's kind of like I would have really loved to have felt this as terrifying as everybody else thought, and it's not like I couldn't think back to that time period. It's like, oh yeah, no, I went to Sunday school. Yeah, this is nightmare stuff. And so but the fact that I'm acknowledging like, oh shit, I'm glad I didn't have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Tells you how effective it is.
It is. So my parents, when it came to movies, and I learned a lot about movies from my mom and dad, they never said we can't watch this, we can't watch that. They were all like, okay, except for The Exorcist. So my mom and dad, I think they might have rented it from Blockbuster. They send me upstairs. They're like, you cannot watch this. And me being the kid that didn't never listen to his parents and always got beaten for it, I was like, oh, I'm going to show them. I saw it through a crack in a door. And yeah, it didn't sit well with me for like days and days. And my mom finally got it out of me. And she's like, well, that's what you get for, not listening to us. And it always stuck with me, so much so that when the director's came out with the
Spider Walk.
Yeah. And more of the Pazu in there.
Pazuzu, yeah.
Well, now I'm an adult now. And I'm like, I don't know. But I watched it and it creeped the crap out of me again. But I think a lot of that had to do with, I was raised Catholic, and Catholics, I don't know if they teach it now, but you go to Sunday school and you're just hit over the head with all this stuff. All of it. Possession is real. The devil is real. If you don't, they talk about dying the moment that you're born. So now, being a young child, I've seen this, and it's still, it's stuck. But now, I got the 4K release. There was a really nice Blu-ray edition, had the booklet and all that. I still watch it, and now being an adult, you still get that little pang that I know what's going to happen.
Oh no, it is. Yeah, it's brilliant because it's like, and it's just and great. Well, now I'm like, all right, Bruss, you better go to your letterbox and edit that review. Like, it is a 5-star, but like
easily. And what he was doing, cinematically wise, that wasn't being done a lot. There's probably floating around online everywhere is when she's walking up the steps. They designed kind of like a chair on a wire, like a proto Steadicam. Yeah. So he did do a lot of interesting stuff in the film. So much so that now people are like, oh, he treated Blair horribly. He put her in a frozen room.
I don't know. I had an argument with a friend about Kubrick and dealing with Shelley Winters, I think it was, like
Shelley Long. Yeah,
Shelley Long. Thank you. I always get like
no worries.
Cheers chick. Shining chick. Sorry to use the word chick,
really,
but
that's
yeah,
really long.
and no, the cruelty. And it's like, yeah, but I think it's like, I don't know. As somebody who's dealt with for the professional wrestling business, speaking out type situations, and I still sit and say like, no, but I think that's, you know, like, if I understand the artist's intent, I can't, you know, I'm being the pussy there, not
I
for
think
not taking that abuse, and that is the wrong attitude to approach it with. But I understand, you know, I've written a screenplay about zombies and pro wrestlers. It's like,
oh, that's cool.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, I want this to happen, and I want it to happen in my way. So screw you if you don't want to do it that way. And hence why it hasn't sold. No, it hasn't sold because I have not figured a right way to promote it.
Right.
And well, I don't want to be the director anyhow. So, but
you gotta go fund me.
Oh no! It's just trying to figure out the right gimmick to get people to jump on it. You know.
I got you.
Right.
Well, so I don't condone abuse or anything like that. I don't.
No, but there's a degree of accepting what you're doing.
Yeah, and there's also, you know, like at a certain point, what me personally has to do is I got to separate the art from the artist, or the actor. Like, because if I didn't, I would never watch Videodrome again, and that is hands down one of my favorite movies. But if I looked at it, knowing what I know now,
well, but like, that's just James Woods. You could ignore that guy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I got to, because Videodrome, Cronenberg's one of my heroes. So.
Right. No, that's what I'm saying. It's like, think about it as a Cronenberg movie, not a James Wood movie, and you're fine.
Exactly. Okay. Exactly. Yeah.
I just want to throw this out there because trivia. I participate in a trivia team every Thursday night in Champaign.
Well, that sounds fun.
Yeah, and we had a question. Like, one of the questions earlier in the night was, this sexually transmitted disease results in so many cases of blindness, and I said, well, if it's a bacteria, it's not herpes, so it's got to be chlamydia, because everybody gets chlamydia. I have not gotten chlamydia, ladies, but
I haven't either.
I'm just saying, I've heard many. I've known many a person who had, and it's treatable.
Okay.
and it's all right. Whatever.
Syphilis causes blindness.
Yes, it does too. But like,
I've never had that either.
And somebody mentioned, well, koalas have a lot of chlamydia and they have a lot of blindness. Yes, all right, we're going with chlamydia. That's the answer. So, and then later in the night, the final question was, who has the most Academy Award nominations for Best Original Screenplay? And it's like, I think it's Woody Allen, but you know, there's still 50 years before him, so I don't want to say bet 100 on it. And it's like, yeah, Russ, you should have bet 100 on it. You know, and it's like,
Woody Allen,
right? And we had a week, and before this new trivia season started, as we're trying to get to the Tournament of Champions in Chicago, we had a bunch of off weeks, and it's like, it was a running joke. Like, one name, it was 1 week the team's name was Where's Russ, and the next week I can't, like, it was I can't remember what we called it, but it was another joke at my expense. and then the final week, like, we won both those weeks, and then the third week we didn't. And then it's like, oh right, well, next off season it's going to be Russ has chlamydia and Woody Allen.
As long as Woody Allen didn't give you chlamydia.
Well, and I still have to watch, because I'm just saying, like, I've always been one of those, like, well, it was a case that went, it was a criminal case, like, and Allen beat it, like, and it's not like Michael Jackson, who went through 2 cases, like, but I still have to watch Allen. I still have to watch Allen versus Pharaoh. I totally acknowledge that, and I've been saying that for the last 2 years of doing this podcast. Like,
I haven't seen it I haven't seen it. It's not for a want.
No, I'm just saying it's more or less like, I hate to say it, Woody Allen is. I think he's a brilliant writer and director. It's like, I just, that's what I'm saying. It's like,
yeah,
and just how the criminal prosecution system does not take women seriously. It's like,
oh, that's
why it's like, hey, yeah, the law says this, and it's like, yeah, but I know the law sucks. So
the law's an ass. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, my problem with Woody Allen, it's like, there's, be realistic, people. So,
yeah.
So yeah, but I'm just going through my notes on The Exorcist. Like, as I'm saying, for me, a lot of it is as a cynic. It's like, come on, movie, tell me why you're so awesome, and it does.
Oh yeah,
but it
does.
As somebody who focuses on 90-minute movies, obviously, it's like,
yeah,
did we need to really go to Northern Iraq? And like when we went to Northern Iraq, I got Alien versus Predator vibes. This doesn't belong here.
40 years before.
It's like, but Alien versus Predator says that the predators were making all our societies anyhow. So
there you go. The thing that always that I feel. Now, I'm not going to claim to know 100% of all cinema history, but The Exorcist made Exorcist movies popular.
Oh no, I can jump to the end of my notes. Basically, it's like,
oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's a great statement. It's like, I don't know if the franchise could have worked past the Reagan era, as I stated, and then it's like, really, you could have made this as a PG-13. You cut out the entire "lick me, mommy" and
humping the cross.
Yeah, right. It's like, yeah, we could have gotten away with that, but there's no good PG-13 Exorcist movies.
No, none of them.
And like, what is it? The Last Exorcist, which was basically a freaking ad for a website.
Yeah, and which was not the last exorcism because we got a part 2.
I didn't want to go that deep. I was like,
oh wow,
people went to the website. Jesus.
So I look at it like all these movies are trying to emulate what The Exorcist is. You got it. I have not seen this new movie, but you got it with the. Did we really need a background on Father Marin? But we got 2 of them.
Yes, I didn't no, nobody. And you say 2 of them, and it's like, no, we got 1 of them. They re-edited it.
Yeah. I was splitting hairs. You got the Paul Schrader version. They didn't like that, so they brought in Rennie Harlan.
Yeah. Oh gosh, why I like Die Hard 2. I've heard that The Long Kiss Goodnight is a brilliant movie.
Oh, it's fun.
But no. Why do you think he can ever actually do anything on his own?
Yeah. And then now the TV series, that was good.
I heard good things, yeah.
Unfortunately, it was canceled, but they separated it from the movie somewhat. Now, this new one, and I'll go on record, I've not seen it yet, but based on the trailers, it just looks like another run-of-the-mill exorcism movie trying to be The Exorcist.
Right. I'll give it credit, though. It's going back to using Ellen Burstyn and, not the weird-ass shit they did for Heretic. Exorcist.
Oh, yeah. Well, and they don't try and do the CGI de-aging thing, right?
Yeah, right.
So that's cool.
So I did make a note. Is Pazuzu effectively Tyler Durden? At least from a directorial standpoint?
Oh, no, he's real.
What, Pazuzu?
Yeah.
Oh,
I take it you mean like Tyler Durden is the projection of.
It's like you catch it. What I'm saying is you catch it in certain scenes, like when.
But you got to pay attention,
right? when Damien's mom, when Damien's mom's coming out of the subway, and then you see an image, like a single frame of Pazuzu pop out.
Yeah, and you see him in the kitchen.
Right. And I didn't. As I'm saying, it's like you're trying to catch, like, and that's what I'm saying about Tyler Durden. When you watch, Fight Club so many times, like I have, my original wrestling gimmick was intended to be Ty Durden, because I had practiced martial arts up until my high school wrestling career. So, like, if I want to break your ribs, I can do that, because I did that at 11. So and then it's like they flaked out the night of, like, well, they kind of know you that you're already Russ Stevens, so why are we going to do a gimmick on you? And it's like, you took all, you made me take all that time to come up with entrance music, which was me trying to cut sound bites from Fight Club ahead of wave files of music I had to convert to waves. And then the final irony is current World Wrestling World Wrestling Entertainment heavyweight champion Seth Rollins, who I can't say I trained with, but we're from the same wrestling school, and I knew Seth before he ever got to that point.
Wow.
Like, his character on the Indies was Tyler Black, and his entrance music was and you enter the cave and you walk inside. You're inside your heart, and then you hear End of Heartache by Killswitch.
He stole that from you?
No, he did not. That one I can't say he stole from me. I can say,
I just asked him.
But no, as I say, I know Colby Lopez personally. I have a win over that guy. But it's like, dang it. Like, no, I got on him back when he was wearing one glove over his right hand, because my gimmick was I had broken my wrist, my right wrist. And then I watched Return of the Jedi one night, and like, oh, Luke Skywalker got shot in the hand, his fake hand, and wore a glove ever since. So I did that first. But no, I can't say he ripped me off.
That's fun stuff.
But with The Exorcist, I love the fact that it kept the movie like in reality, because you can see when when Chris is shooting a movie, you see Warner Brothers on the trailer, and then they make a joke later on. It's like, well, this movie is like if Walt Disney went to Vietnam, like acknowledging that, yeah, Disney has no teeth back in the 70s.
Yeah.
And then you have you have Jack McCowan as Burke, the director, and it's like, after he goes after the Swiss guy in the movie, it's like, oh, that's supposed to be Roman Polanski. And this is before he ran away from the law.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I was doing some Wikipedia stuff on that. It's like, I don't know if I blame him for dodging because I guess they reneged on his plea deal, and that's why he jumped.
So. Yeah, there's a documentary on him. They make that. Not the central point, but one of them, and But I think you hit on the thing about The Exorcist. It was set in our world.
Yeah.
You do see. I mean, if you were around at that time, you did see familiar things. It's grounded in a world we recognize. Unlike as much as I like Insidious.
Mm-hmm.
Those kind of movies where they want to take you to another world, this happens in the city. You see, she's a famous actress, or at least a very good actress.
She's more famous. She's more famous in the movie than she was famous at the time, because
I'm talking about the character.
No, you're right. So what I'm saying, the character was more famous in her world than Ellen Burstyn was famous in hers. Like, there's a lot of controversy about why should you cast Jason Miller, who's a playwright, as Father Damien. And Ellen Burstyn, like, okay, she was in the Last Picture Show the year before that, but like, is she famous? Like,
well,
Max von Sydow is probably your most famous actor in the movie, and he gets all the posters and everything. And to Max von Sydow's credit, he's always looked like Max von Sydow. Like, he was 44 when this movie came out, and it's like
they had to put makeup on him to make him look older.
Well, that's true, but I'm just saying, it's like he doesn't he doesn't look that far removed from being the three-eyed raven in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, and even you go back to like the Virgin Spring.
Well, the one time I'm fascinated by the makeup work was Flash Gordon in '81.
Yeah,
it's the only time he doesn't look like that.
I'm just saying, not Ming, but he's always been like, are you 30 or 50?
Right.
I don't know. So they didn't take a lot. Jason Miller, from what I've heard on the commentaries and whatnot, he was not their first choice.
Yeah,
I don't remember who was, but I think he finally got it because of the championship season.
Okay, yeah,
and then they stuck with him, and even through some of that, like one of my favorite scenes in that movie is he's already been like exposed to the house to Reagan. He's going home on the whole sequence is pretty good. He's going home. He's going down onto the subway, and the homeless guy looks up and goes, "Won't you help out
old altar
yeah.
boy?"
Yeah. That scene, for whatever reason, I can't explain it, sticks with me more than the scenes that should, like the head spinning and the pea soup.
That's like all shock content for the interview. I mean, for for YouTube. Like,
yeah.
I mean, no, I think the Pazuzu is good enough on his own. I loved, like, did you do that? Yes. Could you do it again? And it's like, oh, if I need a quick lesson in Latin, this is a movie to watch. It's like, it's very basic shit, but it's like, oh yeah, no, I know what you're saying.
And that was so I don't know what people know, but anyway, that was still Vatican I when they would teach when they would say all the masses in Latin.
Yeah.
So if you were Catholic or just went to school and they taught Latin and you took it because reasons, you would, oh yeah, I know what he's saying, because you weren't going to go to mass and not know your basic Latin,
right?
Yeah.
So yeah, no, as a Methodist, no, I never had to learn any of that, but
right.
No, I would say it's more of like being somebody who wants to be an entertainer, and it's like, when you hear Scott Steiner, Vinny Victi, like whatever, fortune favors the bold. That was another story of my ex-girlfriend. Like, I'm watching an old WVU network show, and they show all these weird promos Scott Steiner cut, and then like, well, and then he just starts speaking weird languages. And then my girlfriend's watching it. It's like, he said, he said, fortune favors the bold. Like, you couldn't have been there in the commentator's booth. Well, granted, you're 2 years younger than me, so no, obviously. But yeah, so all right, so let's see. No, I mean, but this is big on the power of suggestion, which is something I find with possession movies. And it's like, it goes back to Prince of Darkness. It's like, I think Victor Wong's character basically says, yeah, I don't doubt that you have evil in your basement, but why are we entertaining it?
Yeah.
If you don't want to acknowledge it, then it won't exist. And it goes back to the in The Exorcist, when the psychologists are basically saying, hey, maybe an exorcism is what you need. Like, Reagan believes she's possessed. So hence you need somebody to tell her that she is possessed. And if that's the case, if you do a successful exorcism, the possession will leave.
Yeah. But I don't think even at that point, either one of them, Reagan or her mother there, they weren't going down that road yet until it was mentioned.
Right, but no, exactly. But the fact of the matter is Reagan wasn't religious, nor was her mother.
Right.
I don't know really what direction you were trying to take this in, I guess is what I'm saying. It's like, all right, if it's power of suggestion, that's no different than voodoo. If you don't believe in voodoo dolls, a voodoo doll can't affect you.
Right. I see where you're going. But interestingly enough, too, a lot of these possession movies, like The Exorcist, none of them believe in, you never see they, and maybe that's not a point of a movie at all, but you never see them going to church, talking about anything until the proverbial poo hits the fan, and then they're like, go get a priest.
Yeah.
And they find them so quick. It's like you could just look in the phone book, or today it would be Google, priest near me. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, yeah, that's just something. It's like, and I think a lot of that comes down to religion itself, is just the power of suggestion. It goes back to Game of Thrones with Liam Cunningham as Davos Seaworth. Like, mm-hmm. I used to think the gods are something we made up to keep children in line. And I think, you get over that fact. But as it went, so it's like, for Reagan, it makes a lot of sense then because she's a child. But then it's like when you bring it into adulthood and you actually have to, like, is it demons or are we just being assholes?
Oh, well, in the context of the movie, no, it's Pazu. Yeah, no, he's very real in the movie.
Well, but it's more of a way to get to Father Damien is what I guess I'm getting at.
Yeah.
It's not
It was, and that's one thing I've always had a problem with the film is how did he know that this was going to happen and Father Merrin was going to be sent?
Well, the Father Merrin that doesn't come until the all right, if I'm the Vatican, no, I'm not going to send the guy mentioned in the backward chatter.
Yeah,
right. And I guess that's my biggest problem with the Exorcist is like, we could have cut the northern Iraq stuff out.
But you couldn't because that's where we get introduced to.
Well, you get the statue element.
Yeah,
when he gets to that. So no, right. It doesn't work for Father Merrin, but
right.
No, I don't know that is so. That's where I'm getting into the cutting hairs. Is like, as somebody who thinks a movie should not be longer than 2 episodes of television. So that's where I'm at, and it's like now I'm kicking hairs. No, and that's the beauty of cinema, which I hold above television. It's like, no, you should be able to, like, that was another trivia question this week was and this year and I totally blanked because I thought the movie was older but the TV show was younger. This year was the what year did this actor win his get nominated for best supporting actor? Well, no, it was, they said it. What year did Lawrence of Arabia come out? And I thought that was late 50s. And when did the Jetsons come out? And I thought that was mid 60s at best. I left it to the rest of the team, and thankfully they pulled it off. But
right,
yeah. So, yeah, no. The only other note I have is, well, I do need to clear my browser history as I'm wondering, how often do we use the C word in a verb tense?
Yeah.
And
well, something's going on your browser, yeah.
Yeah, I might want to clear that out. And otherwise, the entire why did we do a psycho stairway jump when Pazuzu grabs the psychiatrist's balls?
In The Exorcist?
Yeah.
I don't know exactly.
Right. I was about to say that's a choice. It's like, hey, remember when it was scary when Martin Burrow got stabbed and pushed down the stairs?
But you're talking about when he takes Pazu into him and jumps out the window. That's what you're talking about,
I'm
right?
talking about the hypnotism bit before that. I am all right. If I'm talking to Reagan, then I am talking to the person inside of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then he just grabs the nuts and he falls backwards. Yeah. Like that's not the place for the psycho stairwell shot.
Yeah.
Give me a few more feet, I suppose.
Yeah, I wouldn't be sitting too close to her.
Yeah, well, no, I don't know why he sat down. That was just stupidity.
Yeah, I'd probably be at the foot of the bed, or
no, it was in a room where she was seated, and there were chairs around, and after the picture falls off the wall, when you ask the question, it's like, I mean, I'm a ballsy asshole, but again, it's like, I will measure what the universe is telling me beforehand.
Right. You got to read the room, right?
Yes, exactly.
Read the room. Read the room. Yeah. There's a documentary, and it's on Shudder.
Yeah.
With William Friedkin. I'm drawing a blank now. Anyway, in the documentary, he poses the question of why then with the priest, why then at that time could Pazu possess him? And he says he can't find the answer. He doesn't know the answer. William Peter Blatty told him something. He's like, but I didn't buy his explanation. So that, again, why the movie sticks around. It's things like that. Why did this happen? Why did that happen? And it's they're not bad questions like they're judging the movie. It's a legitimate, thought experiment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But to copy it, leap of faith, that's what it's called. To copy it like all these other movies have done. I think the closest one, I was thinking about doing it for this, but it was too long. Was the Exorcism of
Emily Rose?
I want to say was it the actress from Dexter?
Okay, yeah, we're still stretching. I never got around to watching Dexter during its prime.
Okay, hold on a second. I'll last two seasons were
right. No,
great.
We all know it goes for any prestige TV show.
Yeah, they kind of putter out. Jennifer Carpenter.
Okay.
Wasn't the Exorcism of Emily Rose? Might have been. But I found that one, it was more of a legal procedure with flashbacks. And the questions being asked was she possessed by the devil or something else? But she dies during the...
Again, that sounds like Emily
during the
Rose.
exorcism. So the priest...
With Tom Wilkinson.
I think it is,
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Hence why I didn't... Yeah. Yeah, that's it. But it was 2 hours long, and I know that's too long.
Right.
So
well, but we're doing the
I didn't
Exorcist,
choose
so
it.
it's just 2 hours long. But as I say,
Yeah.
I always have a way
I
to
didn't
do
want
it.
to.
I'm a pretty, but yeah, I don't know. Any other thoughts you want to throw on the Exorcist as we wrap up?
No, I think we pretty much mined it.
Yeah, no,
Mined the gold out of it.
Mm-hmm. All right.
I got a question for you though, and you can edit it.
Yeah.
Have you seen the Believer? You said that you were going to see that, or Saw 10.
I Saw 10, which if you liked the first two Saw movies, is great. I'll say that. I mean,
did you?
If you like, I mean, I like the entire franchise except for 3. So, but yeah. So I enjoyed it.
Okay, but what? So you haven't seen Believer yet?
No, I haven't. I haven't seen any other Exorcist besides this movie for the pod.
See, I'm still on the fence.
No, I'll have to. I don't want to watch The Heretic because that looks like shit.
Yeah,
it's a weird period for James Earl Jones, in all honesty.
Right. And you haven't seen the third one?
No, I haven't seen the third one, which has the Dorif and everything. So this is my first dive into it, and it's like I can I've never had COVID, so I could say I can smell shit from a mile away. So I didn't watch the prequel. So
here in the past, I don't know, couple of years, if you go online, there's been a resurgence of people now are saying The Exorcist 3 is a great movie. It's awesome, blah blah blah. But if you watch it, it undoes everything that was done in Exorcist 1.
Well, there's the thing about it. It was written and directed by the author of The Exorcist.
Yeah, William Peter Blatty.
Right,
yeah.
And his entire thing was, well, I got this movie for you guys. It's like, yeah, can you attach the word Exorcist to it so we know it will sell?
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Well,
right.
That makes perfect studio sense.
Yeah.
So,
all right. So,
yeah.
So I don't have much else to say. Thank you very much, Jonathan, a Man on Fire Romero.
I'm thinking, and again, you can edit this out.
Yeah,
I got to change that. That's a horrible name. I got to change it because it started. There were 3 of us writing for it, and at one point, and even then, I was like, "What's this got to do with movies?"
Mm-hmm.
So, not on Mastodon yet, but on other sites, I've changed it. I've changed it to a film worth fighting for.
Okay, no, I'll I'm not saying I won't edit this portion out, but no, I'm glad to say, all right, a film for fighting for. All right, so that's how we'll promote it. Yeah,
I gotta update my my
profiles,
website. And,
right?
Yeah.
Took me a bit to find that, but yeah, it's like prologues and promotions state of any podcast. So we can find you. Where would you like to be found? I should say.
Macedon is where I'm at right now, focusing much of my attention to Blue Sky. I'm still on X. I'm trying to.
We're all there.
Yeah, I'm trying to get out of that simply because, I don't want to support that. But there's a very good film community over there that they don't get involved in all the typical X stuff. So I got to keep, and that's where I found a lot of my contacts. So I'll be on that, but just not posting as much. And then I've got a website, a mindonfire.com, where I review movies, just ramble about movies. It's basically a movie website with some other things sprinkled into it simply because I haven't deleted any of the stuff off of it, but it's mainly movie focused, everything from independent cinema to, the latest blockbuster. Right now, I'm in the process of researching. I want to do a retrospective part 2 on Wayne Wang. If people don't know Wayne Wang, they really need to jump on the bus. Great director, forefront of the independent cinema in the early 80s with like Jarmusch.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, so that's he directed Chan is Missing.
Okay, yeah.
Very, very stellar film. So that's what I'm doing right now. And that's where folks can find me if they want to.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Jonathan Romeo, on that. You can find the podcast on any podcast app. 90 for Chill the podcast with CatBusRuss. You can tell your Google devices at least play podcast by CatBusRuss, and it'll get you here. If you want to be a guest on the podcast, feel free to send an email to russthebus07@gmail.com. That's RUSSTHEBUS07@gmail.com. Offer me a movie, a theme, a director, an actor. Just try to focus on sub 100-minute material. But as this episode demonstrates, we can make anything work if you're willing to put the time in. Otherwise, you can follow me on Twitter. I don't call it X. I'm not going to give Elon that bullshit. At CatBusRuss. And otherwise, all I have to do is thank Sasha Marie Harden, which is the entire kind of thing about me believing that spirits exist, because she is at least making sure I don't do anything too stupid. And thanks for her attention, and I hope she's doing the same for anybody else she touched in her life. And I hope she's enjoying the ever annoying presence of the one-eared angel Skimble. I mean, he was a great cat. He would talk to you. He'd try to converse, and it's like, oh, you're just like, oh. You're not sophisticated like my kitty Ava, but you don't realize you don't realize as a feline you're superior to humanity. You just lack thumbs.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you very much for that. Thank you again, Jonathan, for coming on the podcast. It's great material. I will definitely edit out my cuss words. Yes, I can't wait to get back to dare I say Veterans Day, if you want hints, people, on what's coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And
we got our thing planned, right?
Right. That's what I'm hinting at. So
oh, sorry.
No worries. I know it's weird when I'm at places and I make a comment and then it's like some people don't get it. Okay, no, I get it. And then somebody's trying to be clever to me and I don't get it. It's like,
oh, I tried not to do that. I'm sorry.
Well, no, it's like one of those, like, am I an asshole for not getting it? Or like, or are you just too far behind? A little work, I can sculpt you into the perfect cynic, but I don't think customer service is a place for me to do that. So all right. Well, thank you again, Jonathan. We'll hear this should be on the 10th. And I really appreciate you making me watch a great movie. Dare I say. I wanted to watch The Exorcist for a long time, but I can always use that push.
Awesome.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on the podcast and have yourself a good night.
You too. Thank you.
Can I hear a wahoo?